162 last year. Evan Longoria powering the Rays in the bottom of the 12th inning with his game-winning homer, and Tampa Bay overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds to earn a spot in the postseason. Last year becomes history, and this year becomes now, as two of the AL East favorites gear up for another run towards the playoffs. It's the Yankees and the Rays coming up next. Welcome to Spring Training Baseball, brought to you by Gillette. This afternoon, we're in Port Charlotte, Florida, and from the Charlotte Sports Complex, it's a battle of the AL East as the Yankees and the Rays get together in Grapefruit League action. Hi, everybody. John Shambi alongside Doug Glanville. Top two teams in the American League East from a season ago will square off, and we'll start with the Tampa Bay Rays. 8th in the league in runs per game last year, but they brought back a familiar face at first, Carlos Pena.
Exactly, and Carlos Pena is that guy that they're looking to create that spark in that offense. He certainly brings the power game. He also brings that streakiness that when he's hot, he can carry a whole team on his back. On top of that, his defense is electric. He can pick it over there. He already makes a tremendous defense even better, and he also has that leadership capability now with the experience he has of being in the league a long time.
All right, for the New York Yankees, the season to go 4th in the league in team ERA. Pitching is our focus. Phil Hughes gets the start, and he's in a battle for one of those rotation spots.
Absolutely. Well, Phil Hughes is consistently in a battle, and this is his time to shine right now. He needs to prove he can go deeper in these games and show that he has the endurance to last an entire season, so he's looking to get that off his back this spring training. But no question about it, he has the stuff. He can be a frontline starter, and they're looking for him to do it this year because the Yankees certainly need that in their rotation.
Yankees have a lot of pitching options going forward. Of course, signed Andy Pettitte as well. Coming up, we'll check in with Jessica Mendoza. She'll talk about the Yankees traveling party. We'll focus on their lineup. That's next. And our first pitch, the Yankees and the Rays, coming up from Port Charlotte. By Gillette. Great things start with Gillette. Back here in Port Charlotte, the Charlotte Sports Complex, Yankees and Rays coming up. And the Yankees today, Joe Girardi, are ready to travel to Big Boppers. For more on that, we go down to the third member of our team, Jessica Mendoza.
Well, against a lot of the expectations, the Yankees did send a lot of their bigger names. So I spoke with Joe Girardi before the game, and he said to make it fair, he's decided to split the team between the infielders and the outfielders of the big names. So he sent a lot of the bigger name infielders. Tomorrow against Boston, you'll probably see a lot of the bigger name outfielders. He wants to make it fair because a lot of these guys are getting older, he said. He wants to ease them into spring training, and he also doesn't want to play them on consecutive days. What he also did is he called the whole team in before spring training and said, look, if there's no negative comments, no complaining, I'll throw you a bone, but you got to make sure you follow my instructions of who's playing and who's not. If you need a day off, I'll give it to you.
That's an interesting point on the age. Every one of the Yankees' everyday players will be 28 or older. Doug Glanville, last year, the Yankees second in the majors in runs per game. What do you expect this year?
I expect big things. They look like they're poised. You think of somebody like Mark Teixeira, who is slimmed down and trying to get himself ready to go. So they know they didn't finish exactly how they would have liked. They wanted to go a little further in the playoffs, and they look hungry.
And a healthy Alex Rodriguez will be another part of the equation for a full season. Alex playing the fewest of his career, 99 games, as the thumb and knee injuries really bothered him. The Rays taking the field. One of the things you see in spring training is that teams that will face each other a lot, they'll hide their starters. So Jeff Neiman was supposed to pitch in this spot. He'll face the Yankees obviously a lot during the year, so he's pitching in a minor league game. And so the closer, Kyle Farnsworth, gets the start here today.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy into this like Jedi mind trick, like, oh, you know, we can't show them our starter right now. I mean, look, the advanced scouting, everybody is on top of this stuff, the analytics. So after one game in the season, they know what you have. They know exactly what you're doing. So, yeah, maybe you don't see Sabathia tomorrow, but eventually they're going to see him and they're going to know exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, everybody has a pretty good idea of what CC Sabathia is bringing. For Kyle Farnsworth last year, he brought it for the Rays. He was their closer. Really the first time in his career he was able to sustain an entire season as a closer and posted a 2.18 ERA, saved 25 games. Guy's about to strike out an inning.
No, Kyle Farnsworth is a prototypical Joe Maddon product. Maddon is able to get guys into their comfort zone. And Farnsworth took a lot of criticism about not being aggressive, even with the great stuff that he had. And he thrived under Maddon's system in that he gave him the confidence in his stuff. And he's really performed now. He's a bona fide closer. And I think that's true for all the players across the board under Joe Maddon's leadership.
The Rays have one of the top defenses in all of the majors. Over there at third base, Evan Longoria, one of the top fielding third basemen in all of baseball. And they welcome back one of his buddies, Carlos Pena, across the diamond. And Pena, among the things that he does very well defensively, pick balls in the dirt.
That's his top strength defensively. And look, infielders probably ran over and hugged him as soon as they saw him because this guy picks everything over there. And it's by a large margin over any of the other first basemen in the league. So he's clearly going to add a bonus on the defensive side and also knock some balls out of the ballpark.
The veteran catcher Russell Martin will lead things off for the Yankees today as we are set to go. And Kyle Farnsworth wants a new baseball to start it out.
That was quick. Didn't like it already.
Russell Martin knows what that's like when the pitchers get a little finicky about the baseball. Farnsworth ready to work, and here we go in Port Charlotte. And the first pitch of the game misses a little bit high. Tim Timmons, our plate umpire. Russell Martin last year, 18 homers. And takes high again, 2-0.
But one of the questions the Yankees have is who is really going to lead off. You have Jeter, Gardner, but Jeter's had some injuries, so they're going to have to throw different looks, and Russell Martin may be one of those looks.
That one popped out of play, 2-1. Gardner would seem to be the ideal leadoff guy. One of the problems the Yankees have is that Jeter hits so many ground balls. Hitting him second can lead to a lot of double plays.
No, exactly. And Gardner probably strikes out a little bit more than you'd like for his style of play. He's certainly going to continue to improve, but they need a little bit more contact out of him and a little more consistency with the bat.
2-2 to Russell Martin. Alex Rodriguez, or beg your pardon, 3-1 now. Alex Rodriguez in the hole. Is that one popped out of play, and now it's filled up.
But one thing to pay attention with Kyle Farnsworth is that he needs to establish both sides of the plate. That's where he used to struggle. He didn't really like to come in a lot, even with his riding fastball, but he's added a cutter to his repertoire. His slider was extremely effective against lefties last year, and that gave him gave an option to the Rays to use him as a closer, because he proved he can be effective now against lefties and righties.
Filled up in the 3-2. That ball's driven pretty well right center field. Zobrist on the move, gliding over. And Martin on 6 pitches, retired 1 away.
Well, you have to love Ben Zobrist, because this is a guy that plays all over the field, and everywhere he goes, he's a solid defender. So he's very underrated with the glove and does a lot of things and gives Joe Maddon a lot of options in terms of who he can use where.
Zobrist likely will be their opening day second baseman, with Matt Joyce in right field, Desmond Jennings in left field. Well, here he is, Robinson Cano, getting a chance to play again. He was plunked on the hand the other night on Sunday, hit on the left hand. And he laces one to left center field, and that's going to split the defense, roll to the wall. I think Robinson Cano's okay.
He's fine. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, he's been fine. I was in spring training camp with the Yankees in 2005, and you could see this guy was going to light it up. But you could see his stroke right here. Just quiet, great base, short and quick to the ball, and really doesn't have any wasted movement. He just has tremendous balance on his lower half, and he's so consistent with his swing, you just don't know how to defend this guy.
And now it's Alex Rodriguez. As A-Rod digs in again, last year the knee surgery, and then towards the end of the year it was that left thumb that gave him a lot of problems. And strike one to Alex.
Well, they need Alex to get that level back where he can be out there 140, 150 games. He certainly is a force in the lineup and still can do a lot of damage.
Joe Girardi's got a lot of good options offensively. And another strike. Farnsworth bringing it at 95 with that last heater.
He could bring it, and when he was with the Cubs, I mean, he was top upper 90s and 98. So they wanted to see him be much more aggressive on the inner third of the plate to right-handed hitters, and that's the way you can get Alex Rodriguez. So if he can work that part of the plate, he can really keep Alex off balance.
A-Rod able to get a piece of that one. It stays 0-2. And one of the things for the Yankees, we talk about the Rays defense. A healthy Alex Rodriguez, they need him on that left side. Derek Jeter's battling a calf injury, and I think fair to say some questions about how well the Yankees will defend on that left side.
Well, they're definitely getting older, and they're going to need a lot of support from their bench. A guy like Eduardo Nunez, they're going to need people to pick up days as these guys slow down and need some breaks as the dog days of August roll around.
That one out of play, and it stays 0-2.
Farnsworth has been aggressive, you know, and that's a good sign for what he needs to do during the season. He's working quick enough, and he's hitting his spots, and that's why he had a lot of success last year.
Cano at second. There's that breaking ball, and A-Rod swings through it, 2 down.
So that sort of backup slider, it sort of slid away, didn't have a downward motion, but went away from the swing. And that just subtle change of speed from 95 to 88 kept Rodriguez off balance.
Mark Teixeira now as they play the overshift with 3 fielders to the right of second.
Well, it's a new look Teixeira, a little slimmed down. He lost about 15 pounds. He said he's feeling great, ready to go.
And a fastball pumped in there. Well, breaking news out of the NFL. New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton has been suspended for 1 year because of Bountygate with the New Orleans Saints. A stiff penalty from Roger Goodell. Shera lifts that one in the air. Left center, Feliciano and Joyce. And the center fielder puts it away. Yankees leave a man. The Rays coming up to hit as we go to the bottom of the first. Charlotte, Grapefruit League action as we go to the bottom of the first. The Yankees and Rays, no score. Joe Maddon's Rays coming up to hit. Those locks trimmed down. Joe Maddon, 7th year as the Tampa Bay manager, and they've been to the postseason 3 of the last 4 years. Here's the lineup that he puts together. Ben Zobrist up top, and the recently signed Luke Scott will be the DH batting second. Longoria, Pena round out the top 4. Then Matt Joyce, Jeff Keppinger a start at second base. Jose Molina will be the everyday guy behind the plate. Sean Rodriguez likely their starter at short. And Jesus Feliciano out there in center field. One note, there was a collision last week between Upton and Jennings, and Upton was going to start and sitting it out today. And Phil Hughes on the mound for the Yankees.
Well, this is big for Phil Hughes. Has to establish he can get deep in these ball games and really be a frontline starter, but he certainly has the stuff to do it.
First offering to Zobrist, bounce right side. One pitch and one out for Phil Hughes. Last year, one of the real concerns was the dip in velocity. So far, the velocity's been good in spring training.
Yeah, so far, I think they know exactly how to work him now, how to pace him as he gets deeper into spring. They're having some questions with Pineda now with velocity, so it's something that certainly younger pitchers can experience, and they have to figure out how to get over the hump. But he's a guy they're looking to get closer to that 200 inning mark because he has the stuff. He just struggles as he gets deeper in the season with endurance.
Luke Scott takes ball 1. Well, we gave it to Sean Payton, who's the Saints coach, suspended for 1 year. More NFL news. Tim Tebow traded to the New York Jets. How about that?
Making some moves.
Scott gets into this one, right field. Dickerson coming on and puts it away, 2 down. They got Tim Tebow, did the Jets for a 4th round pick. More coverage on SportsCenter over on ESPN2, and NFL Live follows us after the game.
Well, it seems scary to me, like, Peyton Manning neck, when you're messing with your neck in football, I mean, maybe they're, they feel real good about it, or I don't know. It's to move Tebow. That says that they're showing a lot of confidence in Manning and his health.
No, there's no doubt. First offering to Longoria is in there. 2 down, base is empty. And the Rays star third baseman at the plate. He's one of their top players both offensively and defensively.
Oh, no question. Gold Glove. He just has so many different skill sets. He's just had trouble with his quad, little health issues lately, but he still knocked out 31 home runs.
That one in the air, center field. Wise drifting back some more, and onto the track. He hauls that one in. Phil Hughes gets him 1, 2, 3 on 6 pitches. We go to the second in Port Charlotte. Beautiful day here in Port Charlotte in a packed house. We go to the second. No score. The Rays, the Yankees. These two teams will meet to open the season on April 6th, about 90 minutes away in St. Pete. And Raul Ibanez to start it off for the Yankees. Ibanez, and then Nunez, and then Wise against Kyle Farnsworth. See how much longer Kyle Farnsworth goes. Ibanez signed to a 1-year deal this offseason. It comes up a little bit late there. Jessica Mendoza, you have more on Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, I spoke with Yankees hitting coach Kevin Long before the game, and a lot of things that he was trying to work on with Ibanez was getting him closer to the plate. He said one of the biggest things he's been struggling with is he's been so far off the plate, he's casting with his hands, meaning that separation with his hands is allowing his swing to get too long. He also said Ibanez isn't used to this New York media. And Ibanez has told him, God, it makes me nervous. Everywhere I go, they're asking me questions. And that's something he's still trying to get used to.
Yeah, it's a little different. New York, and obviously he's played in Philadelphia and as well as Seattle, Kansas City. Kyle Farnsworth is done after facing 6 batters. So the closer fires 16 pitches, and he'll give way to the lefty J.P. Howell. All right, so Jessica talking about one of the adjustments that they're trying to work on, Raul Ibanez getting closer to the plate. How big a deal was it for you moving in the box, whether back and forth or closer to the plate?
Well, I was actually a creature of habit. I like to stay in one spot and just sort of work off of that. But Ibanez's style, he sort of has that flat swing that he needs to have his hands working for him. And he does tend to get long, and especially now as he gets older, he wants to be more efficient. So there's no question that it makes a big difference about how he affects his swing through the zone when he's a little bit off the plate. So, look, Ibanez knows what he needs to do, and there's no question that playing in New York, he's going to be challenged. But he was in Philadelphia, so he knows it's a tough market.
For most players, is it a big deal moving around in the box?
Well, it definitely gives you a different angle, and just like you'll see pitchers be on different sides of the rubber. So you may make adjustments that way. There were certain stadiums that I generally may have moved only because I didn't pick up the ball well. But I tried to work off of the same position. But Ibanez's swing, his tendency is to get long. And when he gets long, he gets in trouble. So certainly his location will make a difference for him.
No new pitcher for the Rays as they go to their left-hander out of the bullpen, and it'll be J.P. Howell. See a ERA a little bit ugly last year at 6.16. Last couple of seasons he's dealt with some injuries. The Rays bullpen ranked 6th in the American League. And again, I think we mentioned at the top the fact that the Rays did the best job in the American League of preventing runs. They allowed the fewest runs in the American League. And when you look at the starters and the relievers, it was the starters that were more of a strength, but the bullpen good enough.
Good enough, and they did well considering they lost top flight Joaquin Benoit and Rafael Soriano to free agency. So they lost some huge anchors to their bullpen. So they did a nice job last year of seeing that through.
Eduardo Nunez takes a strike. You saw that graphic as far as runs allowed in their rank. The one year that they didn't go to the playoffs was the one year of the last 4 that they weren't either first or second in runs allowed.
And they're very efficient. That's Joe Maddon baseball. Play defense, pitch the ball.
Sliced foul out of play, 0-2.
The thing about J.P. Howell is, in talking to some of the Rays personnel, is they see him as finding that 2009 form, which was before he got hurt. And he was electric. I mean, he was striking everybody out. So this is an addition to the staff by being healthy. And that's something they really need because he can really anchor that left side.
Bounce to third in between Hop, Longoria, nice play.
Well, Longoria makes that play look easy, but when you actually break it down, you see that top spin that he hit straight in the ground, and that ball was kicking up. And he was able to sort of get his glove in front of his body to be very effective. So if you watch here, he gets in, closes the gap. That's a tough hop right there. But he stayed on it confidently and still made the transfer to be able to throw across the diamond accurately.
2 down now, and it's Dwayne Wise who gets the start in center field for the Yankees. Of course, it'll be Curtis Granderson as their everyday guy out there in center.
Well, the thing I think about Dwayne Wise, I can't forget that perfect game with Mark Burley. I mean, first of all, coming off the bench as a defensive replacement in a perfect game situation. I mean, that's heart attack city, and he comes and makes that kind of play. I tip my cap because that's a tough play to make, especially cold off the bench.
2009 with the White Sox robbed Gabe Kapler of a home run to save Burley's perfect game against the Rays. And coincidentally, Gabe Kapler was actually in the park today, the former Ray. So yeah, it comes full circle. That was his dramatic a catch. I mean, regular season catch to save a perfect game going over the wall. It was brilliant.
Yeah, well, I came off the bench during a no-hitter and really kind of misplayed a ball and fell on my face and all that. So, you know, coming off the bench is not easy, especially as a defensive replacement.
2-2 to Wise. And again,
Eric
69
Milton.
games last year. Didn't get a chance to play a ton. It was Eric Milton.
Yes, Eric Milton was on the hill. I took some heat for it. You know, I wasn't happy, but look, you know, you come in off the bench in that kind of game, you know, you got to make the play. And Wise just made not only the play, he made a spectacular play to rob that.
So now that was when Eric Milton was with the Phillies.
Yeah, Eric Milton was filthy, and he already had a no-hitter before that. So, you know, it's like, all right, you already had one. Don't worry about it. But he was cruising along against the Cubs. And, you know, guy, I think it was Michael Barrett, hit like a pop fly to center, and I kind of froze and didn't read it well. And I tried to run in. Chase Utley dove from second base. He was probably about 35 feet short of the ball when he dove, and it dropped in for the hit. Oh, well.
John Shambi, Doug Glanville, Jessica Mendoza as we're here at the top of the second. And the 3-2 pitch lifted in the air center field. Feliciano now towards right center. And able to put the squeeze on that. The Yankees go 1-2-3. Reggie in the house for the Yankees. We're midway in inning number 2. Tonight, Derek Jeter, A-Rod, the Yankees take on Jacoby Ellsbury, Adrian Gonzalez, and Bobby Valentine, the Boston Red Sox. It's a primetime matchup, Major League Baseball spring training. It's presented by Gillette, ESPN 7 Eastern. Phil Hughes continues on the mound as we go to the bottom of the second, scoreless, and he'll face the former Ray, Carlos Pena. He was with Tampa Bay from 08 through 2010. He was their first baseman on the World Series team.
Well, I'm looking up 2007, 46 home runs, 121 RBIs. So this guy can produce, but his batting average has really fallen off. He's still getting on base. He's got a good eye at the plate, but they're trying to find him that swing that gives him a little bit more productivity in terms of batting average and getting his hits.
Hughes winds and the old 1-0. That misses outside. Now, last year he ended up with the Cubs 28 homers, but he didn't hit his first till May 3rd.
He's streaky. I mean, he's tremendously streaky. And the thing about it is he can carry a team on his back when he's hot. And sometimes you need those waves of 2 weeks where you get those wins on the board. But he kind of can be invisible at different times also. And that's been his trouble the last couple of years.
Now, Pena, one of those left-handed batters that defensively they play the three fielders to the right of second base, and he's a guy that when he is locked in is usually going to pull the baseball, especially when it's on the ground. The 2-1, and just as I say it, he goes to the left of second, and he'll leg out an infield hit.
Well, he made the right pitch, tied him up on his hands, but Pena just got enough of it. So you can see right here, Hughes trying to ride it in on his hand, so it follows him a little cut action, but he stayed through it, and that was a nice piece of hitting and certainly good location.
I will continue to deliver spot-on scouting reports as the game progresses. So Pena aboard, and here comes Matt Joyce.
I'll tell you, Joyce's first half last year, I mean, he was electric. Slowed up, certainly in the second half, but he showed a lot of good signs of progress in the first half.
Drives this one center field, Wise back, racing, turning and looking, out of here! Off the batter's eye, he clobbered it over the 414 marker, and the Rays jump out to a 2-0 lead.
Well, that ball was absolutely crushed. I mean, he squared it up well, and just like we were saying, he starts off well. He just has to figure out how to finish it, but he's made a lot of strides in his hitting, and that shows the extension he can get and how far he can hit the ball. So you can see right here, the pitch sort of leaks out over the plate. Nice swing, gets all his body behind it, stays through it, and he knew he hit it well right out of the gate. No chance of getting that one. Wise can climb walls. He can't climb that one.
Yeah, not that high. Matt Joyce hit 19 last year. First offering to Keppinger in there for a strike.
Well, Maddon likes Keppinger. He gives him a lot of different looks. He's certainly one of those guys. He's tough to strike out. He makes his contact. He's very solid with the bat and handling it really well.
Jeff Keppinger last year split time between Houston and San Francisco. That one a little bit low. Carlos Pena back in a Rays uniform, and getting a chance to play with a lot of his buddies again. That one gets in on Keppinger. Cano. And there's one away. Well, the Yankees have had a busy offseason as far as their pitching, and Brian Cashman got busy in the middle of January. Jesus Montero shipped out to Seattle for Michael Pineda. And as well, they signed Hiroki Kuroda, who has pitched so well for the Dodgers in his career. They move A.J. Burnett to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And a different look. And how about Andy Pettitte just a few days ago announcing his comeback, and he'll probably be ready around May. So Joe Girardi has a different look to his staff, even though last year, you know, statistically it was a good pitching staff. I felt like all year everybody said, I don't know if the Yankees pitching's good enough. Well, they finished fourth in the league in ERA.
Well, that wasn't the issue. They knew that they had the ability to get to the postseason. It's what happens when you get there. they weren't set up that well for the playoffs in terms of having enough starters to give you a chance to win every game of the series, and that's been their Achilles heel. CC Sabathia is there. He's an ace. There's no question about it. But then there's a lot of question marks about who can be that guy in that big series.
Hughes ahead of Jose Molina. Well, let me ask you this. When you say not set up well for the postseason, does that mean you need it to be more front-loaded so that your top 3 guys have to be more elite as opposed to 5 guys who are just good?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that you have a rotation that every given night, say St. Louis Cardinals or you look at Detroit, they have Verlander and then they have some question marks. But when you have a staff that's flicked through, look at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. These guys are set up very well because you have ace pitchers all through. So they get to the postseason, these guys go 7 innings. I mean, you have your work cut out for you every single game.
Sabathia, Kuroda, Nova, pretty formidable top 3. Wise going back. Wynn got a hold of that one, and he hauls it in. So you look at the top 3 with Nova, and then you have 2 spots left, and it will come down to Pineda, Hughes, and Garcia. I think before you get to spring training, you're assuming Pineda's a lock, but the velocity's been down.
Well, there's no doubt he's going to get the opportunity. But once again, even with their front 3, Nova, fantastic year last year, he has to do it again. And so there's still a little question mark about establishing it the second go round. So it's one thing to have established guys that have done it, and you kind of know that they're going to give you those innings. It's another thing to speculate as to what this guy's going to do in a new role, in a new uniform.
Bouncer to the right side. Feliciano is done, and that's the inning. But Hughes allows the infield single, and then Matt Joyce gets into one to center field. And here in Port Charlotte, the Rays have a 2-0 lead. Spring training is brought to you by Ameriprise Financial. More within reach. On to the third here in Port Charlotte. And Matt Joyce has given the Rays a 2-0 lead with a blast to dead center field. J.P. Howell back to work and delivers to Cole Garner, who gets the start in left field. Garner, Dickerson, and Martin scheduled against the southpaw. There's a strike to even the count. Garner played 4 games with the Rockies last year, but at AAA, good numbers as he hit .330. Soft tapper to third. And that one off the glove of Carlos Pena. Throws a little bit high. So the error puts a man aboard. And let's go down to Jessica Mendoza, who's standing by with Sam Fuld.
So, Sam, I watched you a lot last year, the legend of Sam Fuld. How have you reacted to a lot of the fame and kind of being able to still be you and everything that you do?
No, I've just kind of tried to enjoy it as much as I can. I mean, it's I appreciate how much work I put into it, and it's really satisfying to get any sort of recognition for it because it took a little while. But no, I've made sure to just enjoy the whole ride.
Well, what I love watching is the way you play outfield. I'm an outfielder too, and you have no fear, at least seemingly no fear. Is there anything when you're out there, any walls, any certain fields that you're scared of when you're trying to make some plays? Not
really. I mean, I came up with the Cubs, and I ran into the brick there. So after doing that, I feel like it's all easy from there. So no, you can't have any reservations out there. The second you start to think going after a ball is the second you get scared.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good luck this season.
Nice snap throw down there by Molina, trying to catch Garner napping.
Yeah, you do not mess with the brick wall at Wrigley. I mean, and Lenny Dykstra, they called him nails, but when he hit the wall, he lost a couple of ribs. So I'm telling you, you do not mess with. But Sam Fuld is fearless out there. He's a great outfielder and just a tremendous asset to this organization.
I wonder if Sam Fuld and Jessica Mendoza are doing the secret Stanford handshake down there.
It's a smart duo over there. Don't mess with them. Super Sam.
Yeah, he was fun to watch last year. Gave them the energy, especially early in the season off the bench. And down goes Dickerson. There's one away. I'm being told that Sam Fuld had the most web gems of any outfielder in the majors last year, had 11. Now, you participated in that and helping to...
No doubt. Look, I voted for him many times. He's electric. I mean, he's fearless, as Jessica mentioned, but diving and just smart baseball. He really knows where to throw the ball, throwing to the right base. Fantastic out there.
He didn't get a chance to play every day either. I mean, he got a lot of at-bats, but not an everyday 600 plate appearance guy. That's pretty impressive.
Well, that's what he's talking about. He was hungry. He got the opportunity. He was kind of relegated in Chicago as sort of the backup, defensive replacement, and he finally got a chance to play every day, or at least most days, and he made the most of it.
Well, Russell Martin, you see the counting stats really jumped for him. He was non-tendered by the Dodgers. The Yankees decided to sign him.
Well, the Dodgers played him just about every day. I mean, he caught a lot of games in L.A. I think it finally caught up to him, got a little beat up, and now he's getting used a little bit more efficiently, and he's thriving under that situation again.
It's tough. There are certain guys that just want to be out there every single day, and sometimes the manager just has to override the player, don't they?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I remember Terry Francona saying to me, he's like, I know it's impressive you're playing every day, but right now the bat is swinging you. You need to sit down and not play for a couple of days. So I did, and it was probably the best thing I did. Just get some rest sometimes is important.
Even up to Martin. And Howell keeping Cole Garner close.
The thing about looking with Howell is he kind of has this turnover action on his ball, almost like a screwball. But those type of pitches can end up in the dirt a lot. So as a base runner, you're thinking, all right, if he gets it down in the zone, I might be able to steal a cheap base here while the catcher's trying to block something in the dirt. So you're always looking for that off speed down in the zone that he has to block, and you might be able to get 90 feet as a base runner.
Martin chasing a pitch downstairs, and Howell ahead 1-2.
In that particular pitch, he kind of quick pitch. He rushed to the plate. And that throws runners off because they freeze because they didn't know what's happening. And then the hitter tends to jump out at the pitcher because the change of motion just messes you up just enough that you can't time that off-speed pitch.
One tapped foul, and it stays 1-2 on the Yankees veteran catcher.
And this is the right situation for Howell to continue to go to that sort of screwball changeup action, because best case scenario, he swings and misses, you get the punch out, but another scenario is they pound it right into the ground, you get the double play, and this is exactly what he's looking for.
One down, man at first. The Rays got their lead on a titanic homer to center field by Matt Joyce.
I think I'm going to break out a new adjective to describe long home runs. I'm going to call it Jurassic. He hit an absolute Jurassic home run.
I think that plays.
You like it?
Yeah.
All right. Let me break that out.
Martin fouls that off his foot.
You know, and I do have an all T-Rex team. Guys that are 6'8" and higher, taller.
You have an entire team.
Well, I'm working on it.
Okay.
I need a sponsorship by Jurassic Park or something.
Right.
But all T-Rex team. You know, guys like Kyle Blanks in San Diego. I mean, these guys are monstrous. So I figure, you know, you say you go yard, you went deep. Why can't you go Jurassic? I like it.
I do as well. I mean, we've already had the Star Wars reference. You dropped the Jedi mind trick thing. Good block there by Molina, and Garner will stay put. Now 6'8", that's kind of setting the bar high. I mean, for me, I would say 6'6" and above is, you got a little more to choose from there. Yeah,
well, I did consider Willie Mo Pena as a human T-Rex, so you could probably be 6 feet, but maybe I can change dinosaurs, like Velociraptor or something else. I don't know.
Okay.
But Jurassic covers everything, so we can use that.
Powell to 2-2 to third. Keppinger able to turn it as he had Garner sliding in on him. So Martin bounces into the twin killing. And here in the middle of the third, the Rays leading it by the count of 2-0. Joe Maddon set to join us as we'll chat about his team and some of the headlines for the Tampa Bay Rays. As good a rotation as you will find in all of baseball. Talk about that defense. Well, the buddies reunite. Longoria and Pena back together at the corners, and Joe Maddon, one of the interesting managers you'll find out there and considered one of the top managers in all of baseball. And Joe downstairs in the Rays first base dugout, and he joins us now. Skipper, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Very good. You know, this time, 2 weeks to go in the season for your team specifically, what are the questions that you're addressing to spots you're looking to figure out?
We're still trying to figure out the rotation, having the proper 5 guys in rotation, our backup catching situation, which really isn't a backup. It's almost a halftime player they're going to play. J-Mo should be able to play hopefully between 80 and 100 games. And then the other part would be the shortstop situation where Reed and Sean have been working. And right now Reed's got a little bit of a problem with his foot. But those are our primary points of concern coming into this camp.
Well, Joe, you know, one thing, you certainly take a lot of pride in defense, making sure you're pitching and using and sort of pitching to your defense. What's your take on some of these advanced metrics in terms of how you measure performance on the defensive side of the ball? Is it a team group thing, or do you see it individually playing out?
I think it's both, but I mean, we use it more when the season's in progress as a team situation. I think they're fantastic, quite frankly. You know, we do a lot of different things, but it's not just based on a whim. We want substantial data to back up all the different things that we do. And so for me, I mean, this stuff's come along over the last couple of years to the point now we could be a lot more specific. You know, back in the day, you used to take a ruler out and draw lines as the hitter would come up and the ball would be hitting, and a coach in the dugout would draw a line where he thought the ball may be. And then before you know it, you've got all these lines all over the place and nothing made sense. So now by being able to add and subtract information or data according to a chart, then you're better able to make good decisions.
Now, you guys led the majors in defensive efficiency last year. When you go into the playoffs, you've been outstanding in the defensive. And I want to ask you, tell us the story about the hair.
Oh, yeah, it's always changing, as you know. Well, I did go a little bit longer. We had this event the other day for pediatric cancer out there on the boardwalk. We had about 71 employees of the Rays, players and administrative staff included. I thought it was one of the best days in the history of Rays baseball. I was standing up there after I got sheared, and I was looking down at everybody else, and I thought it was great. And you saw there were several kids there who are afflicted with cancer right now, as well as their parents and their grandparents. And truly an emotional moment for me looking down and watching this whole thing unfold. But I was really proud of our guys and everybody in the building, actually.
Joe, thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Go Penn. See you, bud.
All right, Joe.
Go Penn, he dropped on you.
All right. Feel the love. I feel the love.
Rodriguez bounces to short. Nunez handles the chance. And mentioning the players and people in the front office getting their heads shaved. 71 different members of the organization shaved their heads. The owner, Stu Sternberg, actually got his head shaved, and he donated $25,000. So a really nice gesture and a great cause, and an idea hatched by Joe Maddon.
Well, Joe Maddon embodies that on the field also. It's a team building, bridge building type of approach, and he gets everybody on board, and they play as a unit. And it's clear that they make the most of their ability, and you can see the success year in and year out.
Let's go down to Jessica.
Well, I caught up with Joe Maddon before the game. I was asking about one of his philosophies that he puts up in the clubhouse. Integrity has no need of rules. And, you think about a bunch of young guys especially, no rules? Like, how's that going to work? And he said, you know what? You give them the respect. You give them the ability, and they will be able to show discipline. He's like, I actually get more discipline from these players because I give them that room. They can wear whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. But because of that and the leadership he has from the older players, he says it works.
Yeah, it's interesting. The cliche or the phrase you hear is player's manager. I think that if you were to try and get closest to it, you're talking about the way Joe Maddon goes about it. It's not letting the players run roughshod. It's about, putting the accountability on the players.
Absolutely, and these are professionals, and you have to expect more, and they'll give you more. And no doubt that Joe Maddon has an approach that works with guys, because you see so many success stories of young guys getting into his system and thriving, and he does it time and time again. But that's what the Rays have to do. They don't necessarily have the resources to spend like they'd like. They need to get in guys and develop them, maybe make moves and bring the next guy up. So they've done a great job with that.
1-1 to Luke Scott. You mentioned they don't have the resources. This guy is a good example, as they're hoping maybe to buy low on Luke Scott. Last year, a really down year, hampered by injuries, so they get him for a year, $6 million plus an option. And he didn't have his typical Luke Scott year. He hit .220 with 9 homers. I can't hear you. But you sit there and you look at the move to get Luke Scott, and it's it's one that makes some sense. You figure he'll play back, regress to the mean, as it were. Check swing and a called strike, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, Luke Scott brings a lot of things. I mean, he can play all over the place, and there's something that's very intangible. He actually spent time in the Astros organization intentionally living with Spanish-speaking players so he could learn the language. I mean, he's brought a lot to the sort of the Spanish-speaking players, sort of as a mentor, and it's a very unique contribution he makes besides swinging the bat. So he's a different kind of guy, and he's able to mesh with his team well, and that's something that they need, especially from a guy who's been around the league a little bit.
And besides the shoulder surgery last year, Scott also had LASIK surgery and rocking the funky sunglasses.
Well, I don't mess with Luke Scott in part because I remember one offseason in Baltimore, they said he worked out with an axe. He was like chopping trees down. And so I'm like, you know what, Luke, do whatever you need to do, man. No problem.
The 2-2. Just off the plate. And now it is filled up. Phil Hughes looked pretty good besides the little infield hit and the one rocket off the bat of Matt Joyce. Talked about the velocity last year. He's been at 92, 93. And this is his first 3-ball count. Payoff pitch. Oh, a little off speed. Maybe the changeup got him swinging. And the Rays go 1-2-3. We move to the 4th, and Tampa Bay leads. Welcome back to ESPN's telecast of Major League Baseball spring training presented by Gillette. Oh, Jurassic Gator rocket out there. Go top 4. Rays lead at 2-0. He's listening to you.
I won't be swimming today after the game. It's not in that water.
All right.
Now we go to the 4th inning. Robinson Cano to start it off. Cano, Rodriguez, Teixeira. Joe Girardi brought a lot of his regulars here. And Burke Badenhop will take over. And he delivers a strike.
We're going to see we have an opportunity to see their entire bullpen basically today. They're going to break out all the guys, and you'll see the different looks that they have. They have sinker ballers and left-handed screwballers and power pitchers. It tells the diversity of their staff, and that could be part of their strengths this year.
And again, they play in a park that really plays to a pitcher's part. And with the ground ball guys, even though it's not a natural surface, it's interesting. That surface, it plays pretty slowly at this point as opposed to the old Veteran Stadium AstroTurf type, right?
Oh, yeah. Veteran Stadium, you were on roller skates. I mean, that ball skips, especially if it's wet, forget about it. But no, their field play is pretty true. And look, all these pitchers, they just have to pitch to contact and let their fielders do the work because they have one of the best defenses in the game.
Great breaking ball from Badenhop. Freezes Cano one away.
So you can see right here working that outer third and kind of a backdoor slider, a little slurvy action started away. And what that does is the hitter gives up on it. And as soon as he gives up, it has that late break, catches the corner. Great pitch.
Here's Alex Rodriguez. And there's a slider for a strike. Alex struck out swinging his first time.
Well, to a right-handed hitter, that kind of pitch is tough because it looks like it's going to hit you and you lock up for a split second. Then it catches that inner corner. So they call that sort of the front door. And if he can locate both sides of the plate, lefties and righties, it sets up Badenhop to be a very significant part of this bullpen.
Right-hander pitched for the Marlins last year. And he is peppering the strike zone.
So you can see there, it's not really velocity. He's throwing 87, mixing it up. But his movement is so late, and he's running it back over the plate on the outer side to righties. He's also front-dooring them on the inner part of the plate to righties. So he's really working both sides and gets a hitter what we call in the rocking chair. You lean out, you lean in, and then you're in trouble.
2-2 now to Alex Rodriguez. John Shambi, Doug Glanville, Jessica Mendoza. And let's go down to Jessica Mendoza.
You guys are talking about A-Rod's swing, and you think with a lot of these hitters, you know, what adjustments do they make? They're so successful in so many different ways. Well, Kevin Long was telling me with Alex in particular, it's that high kick you see, they call the load, so kind of where you're loading your weight back, and you notice with his front foot, he gets that kick. They really are trying to monitor that this year, looking for that separation between his elbow, that front elbow, and his front knee. They want to maximize that separation so his kick isn't so high. That way he gets more on time, but he still has the power.
One of the things it seems with guys that have the high leg kick, got to get that foot down. If the foot isn't down in time, it causes major issues.
Oh, I've messed around with leg kicks, and, you know, it's kind of cool. You look like, you know, you're in some taekwondo position, and then all of a sudden you don't get your foot down and you break your hand because they jam you so badly. So, you know, it's a timing mechanism, and when you're right, it's going well, fine, but sometimes you get off and you get a little too high on that leg kick and don't get it down in time. So we'll see what Alex Rodriguez is going to get once he breaks camp and once he's in rhythm.
It'll also be interesting as he continues to age and he's had problems with his hip. Will he be able to continue with the leg kick? Remember Craig Biggio had that high leg kick, and it's a certain point of his career when he got into his late 30s, he scrapped it because he simply couldn't get that leg up and down all the time.
Oh, yeah, you hit that 32, 33-year-old mark, and all of a sudden that hip isn't feeling right. So the timing is much more critical when you have a leg kick, so that's the challenge that you have.
And A-Rod continues to spoil pitches from Burke Badenhop.
Well, after these type of at-bats, you're wearing the guy down as a hitter. He's continually throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you. So he's seen it all now. And if you win this at bat, that's a moral victory, and that's sort of a victory that can really be infectious to the rest of your hitters behind you.
This will be pitch number 9 of the AB, and just missed. Pretty good at bat from Alex Rodriguez right there. He'll take his base.
Fantastic at bat. You know, that's what they need. The Yankees are known to be that type of team that wears down pitchers just because they make you throw a lot of pitches. And you saw right there, he threw everything he had at him. He sank it, he ran it, he cut it, he slid it, and still worked enough pitches. And look up, he's at first base.
Now it's Teixeira at the plate, and again the overshift. And strike one. They talk about Mark Teixeira. Last year, he hit just .224 as a left-handed hitter. And the overshift was a big part of the problem. He had a difficult time dealing with it. Now, they said he spent some time this past offseason actually working on bunting and maybe putting down 1 or 2 in this spot. I've seen David Ortiz every now and again try it.
Absolutely. You know, I played with Rafael Palmeiro, and I remember him laying one down at third base. I mean, they can't do anything. I mean, it's a hit. And if you get on base and the next guy, so there's situations, especially when you're struggling, that you can lay one down once in a while to keep them honest. And I guarantee they'll think twice about it the next time.
You see that with the Yanks, the on-base percentage and the average, it has declined. Now, .341, still about 20 points above league average. But to translate it very clearly, he continues to make more outs as his time with the Yankees has gone on.
And I think that's why this offseason he went in and tried a different approach. He kind of came back a leaner version of himself, and he's trying to make sure his bat quickness is there because he felt like he got a little slow last year. But, you know, he still does damage. You can't take that away from him. He may not get his average, but pitchers are aware of him in the lineup no matter where it is, because at any given time, especially at Yankee Stadium, he can go deep.
1 out, man at first. Here's a 2-2. That is hammered into right center field. Zobrist racing to cut it off. Feliciano there. And Rodriguez will stop at third. Teixeira into second. And Mark Teixeira with the double.
And this is exactly what I was talking about with all these pitches. Alex Rodriguez first wears him down. Teixeira sits here and jumps on it. You know, very clean swing. You know, good head position. Nothing complicated about it. And when he gets extended, he gets behind that ball, he puts a lot of thunder behind it. And you can see right there, the ball scooted all the way into the gap.
When everybody talks about those Yankees and Red Sox games taking forever, your eyeballs are not lying to you. They're the top 2 offenses in terms of on base, in terms of seeing pitches, in terms of hitting foul balls. This one popped up, shallow left. Joyce coming on. And the runners will hold their bases.
Well, the Yankees and the Red Sox deserve credit for that. I mean, they're such good hitters. They know the zone. They work the count so their games go long. And if they're fouling tough pitches off and working counts, that's what you're supposed to do as a hitter. So you see with Badenhop, he wears him down. He threw a lot of pitches to Alex Rodriguez. That sets everybody up behind Alex Rodriguez, and which is what you're supposed to do as a hitter.
Is it teachable at the big league level?
I think it's hard to teach at that level in terms of discipline. They always talk about, we just need to get this guy, but your zone is kind of your zone, and if you take that away, it gets difficult. Some guys like Gary Sheffield just knew the second it left his hand, ball or strike. That's not for everybody.
Here at Port Charlotte, Charlotte Sports Complex, top 4, Rays leading the Yankees. And Burke Badenhop delivers ball 1 here to Eduardo Nunez, starts at shortstop. Derek Jeter still bothered by that left calf injury. And the Yankees a scoring chance here with Teixeira at second and A-Rod at third. So Nick Swisher injured his groin the other day. Actually, a little bit ago, injured the left groin and then just injured the right groin. So Joe Girardi dealing with that. Got Dave Robertson with the bone bruise in his foot.
still a couple of weeks away. Nunez, tapper to third. Longoria handles the chance. Badenhoff gets out of it. The Yankees lead 2. We're midway in the 4th at Port Charlotte. The Rays up 2-6. Major League Baseball is proud to support the fight against cancer. Honor someone you know who's going to bat against breast cancer. Visit honorarybatgirl.com. As we mentioned, the Rays, 71 people in their organization shaving their heads for a great cause to raise money for pediatric cancer research. We go to the home half of inning number 4. Phil Hughes continues. And he'll face Evan Longoria. Fly to center his first time. And Hughes delivers a strike. How do you think Phil Hughes has looked?
I think he's looked good. And look, he throws almost like darts. I mean, his ball sort of almost like a catcher's release, very short and quick, tough to pick up. But he's changed speeds nicely. You can see the curveball dropping in there. And he seems to have more of a plan. So the question for him is keeping that going, having a few pitches so that he can go into that 7th inning, hand the ball off to the Yankee bullpen, and then it's lights out.
That one off the glove of Russell Martin. The one thing is that he's been efficient. He's only thrown 38 pitches. So
no, and that's exactly what sets him up to go deeper in ball games, and that's what they want from him. I mean, he's historically he implodes in the 3rd inning. You don't know what you're going to get, but if he can get over that hump and get to that next half of the game with his stuff intact, that's all they need from him.
Hughes facing 3, 4, 5 in the Rays order. Longoria, Pena, and Matt Joyce. And again, the only 2 runs of the game on a Joyce 2-run homer. Hughes ready. The 1-2 on the way. That backed him off the plate. Talk about this Rays lineup for a second. 8th in the league in runs scored last year, the Rays were. Do you see them getting better this season?
I do. You know, Pena is a guy, he's going to help a lot because he's been there. He's seen the success. He's been part of the success. And it's going to give him a different look. It's not going to be their strongest part. You know, the shortstop productivity, you're not sure about catcher. But they really do have some improvement, not only in just how much talent they have with Pena being added, but just the fact that they are a year wiser.
Led the league in stolen bases, so some speed. That one in the air, softly hit, left field, and Garner puts the squeeze on it for the first out of the inning.
Well, it's been interesting to watch. Wise is playing really shallow out there in center field, and you see Longoria get up, and you know how far he can hit the ball. But it's sort of an aggressive style he has. He has a lot of confidence going back to the ball, so you play into your strength, and that's what a lot of outfielders need to do. Just play into your strength. Where you go back, set yourself up to go in the direction that you do the best.
Shallow, middle, or deep? How did you play?
Shallow. Loved it. And the best thing that happened to me is third base coach, may he rest in peace, John Vukovic, came to me and said, look, you love going back on the ball, so play shallow and turn every ball into going back on the ball. And it was the simplest thing that someone said to me, but it really changed my outfield play.
Carlos Pena infield single, scored in the Joyce homer his first time. Hughes missing outside and the count even.
Hughes just has a lot of looks for both lefties and righties. That's one of his strengths. He can run it away, he can cut it, he can go off speed, drop the curveball. So sometimes he just has so many pitches, he has to figure out which is the one that's working best for him.
That one on the corner, and it's 1-2. That appeared to be the changeup. So you talk about in and out, a big curveball, changeup. It's a lot of pitches to pick from.
It's a lot to manage, and with maturity you figure out, okay, I have this pitch early in the game, let me stay with this, instead of trying to work all these pitches, some of which aren't working for you. So efficiency is partly minimizing how many pitches, but also knowing what's working. And then who knows, late in the game you might have that curveball you can break out they hadn't seen all game, and then you really get the opposing team in trouble.
He's thrown a couple of changeups today. I would say this, that he's been working in a changeup is the spring training version of position players coming in the best shape of their life. Every pitcher is working on their changeup in spring training.
They're always working on something, and that's, they say, oh yeah, I know I gave up 5 runs, but I was working on my changeup. I mean, it's something that when you're trying to make the team as a young player, you can never say that.
Working on making the team. Good fastball there, Pena late, and the count even 2-2 with 1 out and the base is empty.
When I heard he went over to the Cubs, I sat there and said, Pena might hit 60 home runs over here. But he really started off slowly, didn't do much, and then all of a sudden got hot. So the streakiness is starting to plague him a little bit. And he needs to figure out how to smooth it out a little bit so he's more dependable offensively to his team.
Again, 28 homers last year for Pena, but his first didn't come until May 3rd. Casey Kochman was the guy that played first base for the Rays last year. And there's ball 4, and Matt Joyce once again will come up with a man on base.
Well, that's what Pena does well when he's not hitting. He still can get on base.
Here's what Matt Joyce did the last time he came up with a man on base. No doubter. If I could steal a phrase, a Jurassic home run off the batter's eye. That made it 2-0. That's where we are right now.
Well, as an outfielder, you're running after the ball. There's a part of you starts going, that might break somebody's windshield in the parking lot, but I still have to run after it because I don't want to make my pitcher look bad. But he knew pretty much that was long gone.
Joyce takes the curve for a strike. One of the things that's interesting is nowadays you look at expansion, and you look at, in 93 with the Marlins and the Rockies, and then eventually the Rays and the Diamondbacks. We have a generation of players that now have grown up on those teams. Matt Joyce is from the Tampa-St. Pete area, and he grew up a Rays fan. He was at Wade Boggs' 3,000th hit, the home run, and it's kind of neat to see those franchises far along enough that young players grew up as fans. Marlins first baseman Gabby Sanchez grew up a big Marlins fan. Cool to see.
No, funny enough, I was there when they expanded, so it tells you how far back I go. But the Braves have such a talented organization and a great philosophy. You just like to see them get the support, maybe the stadium they need, but they certainly look like they have a system that's working and it's going to work for a long time.
Pena at first, 1 down. And a good pitch biting down and away. Got him to swing and miss. And there's 2 gone. here the bottom of the fourth.
This is a nasty pitch right here. You kind of went right at him at 0-2, but it just dropped out of the zone. And when you have that bottom drop out of it and you're changing speed, the hitter not only has to adjust with location, but it's also movement. And that's a tough pitch right there to even foul off.
2 down, Pena at first. And Jeff Keppinger at the plate. Popped to second his first time up. Hughes fires in a strike. Phil Hughes last year had that shoulder fatigue at the beginning of the season, so he spent time from April 15th to July 6th on the disabled list. Ended up with a 5-5 record, a 5.79 ERA.
He really needs to get that endurance up, and just if he's healthy, he's got the stuff to really anchor this rotation.
That went low in the count 1-1. It's funny. The Yankees signing Andy Pettitte. Phil Hughes was a first-round pick in 2004, and it was a compensation pick for the free agent loss of Andy Pettitte, who had signed with the Astros.
He's back.
That's right. Russell Martin caught Andy Pettitte the other day. Said it was
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, you look at a Keppinger, and what he does, he gives Maddon is this sort of utility guy on the infield, but he also has Elliott Johnson. So Keppinger would be sort of the offensive guy. Elliott Johnson could be the defensive athlete, steal base guy. So he can throw a lot of different looks at you if you need to give somebody a day off on the infield.
The 1-2 high, and the count even up. Today's second baseman, Jeff Keppinger.
I always wonder about this unretiring. That's like a official class of worker now, unretiring back into baseball. And I don't know what happens. You go home and you're like, I don't know. Iced tea is not that great. Your hammock broke. What happens?
Your hammock broke?
Well, something happened.
Who's got a hammock?
Oh, I don't know. My neighbor does, so I figured I'd throw that out there.
Line drive, base hit right field. And Pena's going to try for third. Dickerson's throw gets past Rodriguez. And Keppinger scrambles down to second.
Well, you can see right there, Dickerson, he got a little caught off guard. A little bit surprised he was running because, when you have the ball hit in front of you as a base runner, usually you're going to stop at second. So he continued on, and Dickerson sort of, a little bit of hesitation, a little distraction. He still made a nice throw, but just scooted by Alex Rodriguez. But he was pretty much a dead duck right there if he caught that.
Do you try stuff in spring training? Does he try that in the regular season game in that spot?
No. I mean, he really, when you have a ball hit in front of you as a runner on first base and it goes through, the large chances you're just going to stop at second base. I mean, you don't want to make the third out at third. It would not be considered a good base running play. So at least Joe Maddon hopes you're not going to try that during the regular season.
Rays threatening with 2 outs, lead it 2-0, bottom 4. Molina lifts that left center field. Garner and Wise pulls it down. Rays leave a couple. We'll go to the 5th here in Port Charlotte. Out of the fifth here in Port Charlotte, Rays lead it 2-0. John Shambi, Doug Glanville, and four-time first-team All-America, Olympic gold medalist in softball, Jessica Mendoza, who's standing by in the Rays dugout with Tampa Bay's opening day starter.
Opening day starter, throwing against the Yankees. Are you taking any notes right now against this team?
Yeah, I'm taking some notes. Our guys doing a pretty good job. We're swinging some electric bats right now, and we're winning 2-0, so it's good.
I hear a lot about the camaraderie of the pitching staff, and I know you're a big key element in that. How much do you guys help each other and cheer each other on?
Oh, we help each other a lot. That's one of the main things about our team is that we create good chemistry. That's one of the reasons why we've won over the last 4 years and gone to the playoffs. So it's all about team chemistry. That's what this game's all about. We have a lot of fun in here. We kind of joke around with each other, and like I said, it shows out on the field.
Well, joking around, does anyone make fun of that? I don't know if you knew this, but it'll be an MLB record when you start. It's the only Tampa guy since 2007 to be 30 years or older. Did any of you guys give you a hard time about being the old man?
Yeah, I think I might have started that streak, so it's kind of nice to end it. But nah, it's amazing. It just shows a testament of our organization, our scouting department, and just the guys in general. The best part about it was that we've been successful in that stretch. So. If we weren't doing too well, then this probably wouldn't be talked about. But, these guys are a great bunch of guys, and hopefully, they won't be calling me the old man too much.
All right, well, I'll let you get back. Thanks a lot, James.
All right, thanks.
All right, Doug Glanville. James Shields will be the opening day starter against these Yankees. Do they have the best rotation in baseball, and do they have the best rotation in the American League? I guess take the second one first.
Oh, these guys are tight, but I don't know about the best. You have to look at the Angels. These guys in L.A. are doing it right now. But they're certainly on the rise, and they're young. And as Jessica, pointed out, they have a little, some good ribbing, and they enjoy the competition, even as young guys, to be frontliners in the game. And they've proven it. And they certainly are now on the rise. And Shields just had a phenomenal coming out party last year. And, he was third in Cy Young voting. So these guys are serious, and they're going to compete.
Rays second in team ERA, led in starters ERA in the American League. Up and in, 1-2. Only runs of the game, but a Matt Joyce 2-run homer back in the second. Rays using their bullpen today. Kyle Farnsworth, the closer, started this one. It's supposed to be Jeff Neiman's spot, but he's starting in a minor league game. 2-2 to Dickerson. Now the top four guys, there is no question. Shields, Price, Hellickson, and as good a young arm as you will find in Matt Moore.
Well, here's the amazing thing about this. Hellickson was a 4th-round draft pick, and Matt Moore is an 8th-round draft pick. So it's like, they find guys in the rough, and they develop these guys, and they become, frontliners, rookie of the years, and they do it time and time again, and that's why they're going to continue to compete.
Yeah, they're considered to be one of those teams that really delves into the sabermetrics and that type of analysis, but they've obviously drafted extremely well. That last pitch missed so closely. 3-2 now with 2 outs and the bases empty.
No, they continue to do it and develop it. You have to have it all working hand in hand, the pipeline from the beginning of development all the way through the major leagues. And they've developed something that's consistent. They're saying the same message, and they understand their financial status where they need to get guys in, get that value, and maybe you have to move them and get the next guy in. And they've done it very successfully, and they've built it in such a way that they can continue to do it into the future.
That's one of the things going forward you wonder about. If that type of analysis will impact amateur scouting. Outside corner, and got him looking. Well, speaking of the draft, how's your fantasy draft looking? We'll talk fantasy baseball when we come back. We're midway in the 5th. Rays up 2-0. ESPN Fantasy Baseball is back on ESPN.com. Access real-time scoring, gain expert advice, manage your team, and do it all on the go from your mobile phone. ESPN Fantasy Baseball. Sign up for free at ESPN.com/fantasybaseball. Rays leading it 2-0. John Shelby, Doug Glanville, Jessica Mendoza here in Port Charlotte. And speaking of fantasy baseball, let's look at the third baseman, Jose Bautista, the #1 guy on the list. Evan Longoria, #2. A-Rod down at #9. If you're wondering, by the way, Miguel Cabrera needs to play 10 games at third base before he's eligible for that spot. Are you a fantasy baseball guy?
I'm learning, and I certainly need to make better predictions than I did last year. But I will. I'm on it.
Jesus Feliciano takes a strike. Feliciano was not scheduled to start. It was going to be B.J. Upton. Remember, Upton and Jennings collided last week. That's outside. And in that collision, they both just came up a little bit sore. So Upton originally in the lineup. Joe Maddon decided not to take any chances. That one right in on the hands of Feliciano.
I didn't have too many collisions in my career, and as you can tell, with my 175-pound frame, it wouldn't have been a good situation. But ran into Lance Nix, the muscular outfielder for the Phillies. Jimmy Rollins at one point, which, kind of knocked the glasses off his head. So it's not fun. The communication is certainly key, but sometimes it just happens.
Well, you talk about injuries the other day on ESPN, the Phillies and the Tigers. Miguel Cabrera, a gruesome injury. Bad hop here on Monday, and it caught him in that right eye. Caused a bloody gash and required 8 stitches, and then we found out that he actually has a broken orbital bone. Red Sox and the Tigers will go at it April 5th, so he doesn't have a lot of time to recover. Wise drifting back. Squeezes that. Feliciano retired. Scary stuff, though, when you see a ball hop up and hit a guy in the face.
It's nasty. And, it's hot days. The ground gets kind of hard. Takes those kicks. And, Cabrera's learning a new position in effect. And that's something that the Tigers hold their breath, because not only the injury, but his confidence over there, because they need him to be effective as a third baseman. So, he's going to have to get back after it, but certainly they're going to be cautious with his health.
Hughes back to work. Rodriguez late. Phil Hughes has started things off well. 12 of the last 13 hitters have started 0-1. So first pitch strikes for Phil Hughes, and the count quickly 0-2.
Managers will love that. Getting ahead, getting ahead, getting ahead. You're going to give yourself a great chance to be successful. And certainly he has enough pitches that he can use his defense and strike people out if he needs to.
Martin blocks the curve. Hughes facing Sean Rodriguez here, who likely will be their shortstop. Shortstop and catcher were kind of the sinkholes for them offensively last year. They were last in the majors in shortstop OPS, and they got a 193 average out of their shortstops collectively. Got him looking. Nice pitch. Little slider or cutter on the corner, and Rodriguez is gone.
That's that front door. It starts at the hip of the hitter, and then it bites last minute. So once the hitter gives up on it, all of a sudden it comes back. So you can see right here, look where the catcher is set up, where Martin is. He throws it sort of towards him. He gives up on it, and it just comes back over the plate. It really freezes hitters when you throw it in the right spot, and there's really no way you can defend against it.
2 down, bases clear. It's Zobrist. And there's that changeup again. It's been a good pitch today.
He's worked well on that side of the plate, into righties, away from lefties. He's shown that sort of front door slider, and then he's also shown that sinking changeup piece that goes away from lefties. And so he's comfortable against lefties and righties.
Try to come back with it. The count is even up on Zobrist. Last year hit .269, 20 homers. A better right-handed hitter, more on base, more power. Strike to the corner, 1-2.
And that's a pitch he got because he keeps chipping away at that corner. You know, it might have been a little bit off the plate, but he's been right there every time. And after a while, you start earning an inch every inning. And certainly he's done that.
Rolled to first. Teixeira with an opportunity. Hughes gets him 1, 2, 3. We'll go to inning number 6, and the Rays lead it. And spring training is brought to you by Red Lobster's Lobster Fest. Don't miss it. Come in today for the largest variety of sweet, succulent lobster. Back in Port Charlotte, we go to the 6th as the Rays lead the Yankees 2-0. Matt Joyce, a 2-run homer, back in the 2nd. I will not tell anybody, I promise. Lefty Cesar Ramos takes over on the hill for Burt Badenhop, and southpaw, a native of Los Angeles. And last year, 59 appearances and a 3.92 ERA. Not a big strikeout guy.
Well, with the Rays, you don't have to. They pick everything. If you pitch to contact, use your infield, you're going to be successful.
You know, you had a piece in Q&A on Fangraphs today about defensive metrics. You've gotten into that.
I have, and I really think it's a key part of assessing the complete player. And Fangraphs and getting into analytics, as they say. But more and more trying to understand the value of a player on the defensive side of the ball. And, you know, this is a key part of the game. And if you watch what Joe Maddon and his Rays have done the last few years, it's clearly been an advantage. And certainly more and more we're going to flush out what it means to be a good defensive player with numbers behind it.
Ramos the 1-1. That's drilled back up the middle. First hit of the day for Russell Martin. And only the Yankees' 4th hit of the afternoon.
That was a very nice swing, short and compact. And they didn't do too much with it. When the ball's down in the zone, if you get a little bit out in front or too long, you're going to miss it and you're pounded right into the ground. But Martin stayed through it, got the nice little line drive, and hit it right straight up through the box. So his timing was impeccable. And right here, look at short, compact, didn't overswing. You know, head position was fantastic, and you could see he knew it right away that he hit it solid.
So Martin will sit. Justin Maxwell will take over. He'll run it first. Cano first pitch swinging, popped him up left side. Longoria says, I got it. Cano retired, one down.
And you cannot take any ball popped up for granted in spring training. You take your eye off the ball, the sun, you might lose it. So everybody's going to the ball, making sure that he has it the entire way. And until he catches it, you got to keep coming. And here's what you're looking at. High sky, a little bit of glare sometimes. And if these clouds are not here, you're in trouble.
Rodriguez chases that one downstairs. Alex Rodriguez trying to bounce back. Numbers were down last year. And the numbers were down counting-wise, like the home runs, the RBIs, because he only played 99 games. He rips that one left field. That'll take a bounce and then hop over the wall. And it'll be an automatic double. Maxwell will have to stop at third. He drilled that one.
Yeah, stayed through it, and pitch caught a lot of the plate, not the location he was looking for. And you see Alex Rodriguez was able to get those good hands that he has right to the ball directly. And it's amazing that when you watch these guys make these type of swings, the easier the swing, the ball seems to jump even more. When you try to do too much and you get your body involved too much and not trust those hands, the results are not good.
Rodriguez done for the day after that screamer to left. And Ramiro Pena now running at second. Here's Mark Teixeira. Ball one to Tex, who doubled his last time up. So Pena takes over at second with Maxwell at third. The Yankees a threat with one out. Ramos falls behind 2-0.
He's being very careful with Teixeira here, as he should be. And, he knows he can sort of get him out of the way. You have a base open, certainly set up the double play. So he's trying to stay away from him, turn it over. If he's going to make contact, make him pound it into the ground to the third baseman. But this is also something that Jose Molina adds. You have this veteran presence, getting a chance to play a lot. He can handle this young staff. Molina's been around the league. He knows all these hitters across baseball. And this is going to be a huge asset for Maddon, whether he's starting or not. He's going to be able to come up with a plan.
Walked him on 4 pitches, so they're loaded up. And Raul Ibanez will come to the plate.
No damage done to the Rays. You put him on, you walk him, no big deal. You still got the double play. You got a lefty-lefty matchup. So he really didn't want any part of Teixeira, and that's the right thing to do.
Loaded up with one out. And Ibanez, who is 0 for 2. And there's a strike. Now this is a spot you won't see Ibanez in as much. He is slated to be their DH, but the numbers not especially good against left-handers. So when he sits, it's going to be against the southpaws.
Yeah, no question. And right now, they also know it's a double play issue. He's not a fast runner. So
Pena's only played a first. Maxwell comes in, and it's a 2-1 game.
Just enough. He made contact, and anything can happen with contact. You certainly feel like if a guy's going to swing and not make any contact, nothing can happen. But that's what Ibanez can provide. Puts it in play, and he gets the RBI.
Like a little bit of a tricky bounce for Pena. Not really.
Well, you watch his head position. He just stays through it. very confident. He almost can look at, field the ball, and also watch the runner. He's just a great athlete over there and understands the position very well.
Nunez lifts that left center field. Feliciano makes the play, and that's the inning, and the Yankees get a run on the board. Now, coming up, we're going to chat with the manager of the New York Yankees, Joe Girardi. Rays leading this one 2-1. So the rebuilt rotation, Pineda and Kuroda added behind CC Sabathia. Teixeira and A-Rod hoping to bounce back from last year, and Mariano Rivera returning for his 18th season. Will it be his last? We'll wait and see. He was brilliant again last year. Always nice for Joe Girardi to be able to turn to number 42 at the end of games. The Yankees, the champs in the East last year, as they went 97-65, finished 6 games ahead of these Rays. And he and Tony Pena going over the moves right now. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, looking in as well. I mean, a lot to go over during these games. Figure out how to get guys in, what spots they're going to go into. And every day, plotting and planning to see how do I get this guy at bats and determine who's going to play in each specific game. Well, now we go down to the dugout, and we are joined by the manager of the New York Yankees, Joe Girardi. Joe, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Phil Hughes, how did you think he looked?
Pretty good today. You know, he made the one mistake with the cutter, but besides that, I thought he threw the ball really well. I thought he used all his pitches. And his changeup has been something he's been working on for the last couple of years. Didn't get to work on it a lot last year, but it has definitely improved.
Well, Joe, I'm thinking of the table setter here. I know you get peppered a lot about who's the leadoff hitter, Gardner, Jeter. But do you think in this day and age it matters as much? You see a lot of teams like Boston don't have a consistent leadoff hitter. Is it necessary?
Well, no, I think you're just looking for guys to get on base. And, you know, if they can run, it's a bonus. But they don't necessarily have to be someone that's, you know, going to steal 30, 40, 50 bags like they used to. As long as they can run, as long as they can get on base, that's what you're worried about.
How much longer will you go as far as figuring out who makes the 5-man rotation?
We still have time. We'll get through probably the 4th and 5th start for all these guys before we really do anything. And it could be the 6th start for that matter. So there's no rush. We feel that the competition has been good, and some guys have thrown the ball really well, and Phil Hughes is one of them.
All right, Joe, thanks very much.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Joe Girardi there. He's got 6 guys for 5 spots, soon to be 7 guys for 5 spots, with Andy Pettit joining the mix. There's Clay Rapata, who takes over. So Phil Hughes, 5 innings, and gives up just the 2 runs on the homer to Matt Joyce.
Well, Rapata can give them another look. You have Boone Logan, the lefty. He could be this left-handed specialist, give them a little bit of depth. So he's had a nice spring. And a lot of movement, and you could see right here, dipping down, really tough on lefties.
This can't be real fun for Luke Scott in this spot, having a matchup with the guy and that sideways look.
Oh, no. And no one wants to see a sidearmer, unless you're like Carl Everett's the only one I saw hit sidearm him as well. But you know, you Mike Myers, I think of guys like that just automatically you bail out as a left-handed hitter. So certainly his delivery, his angle is very, very tough to pick up.
2-2 now to Luke Scott. Yankees had a very good bullpen last year. In fact, led the American League in bullpen ERA, with Soriano and Robertson setting up in front of Mariano Rivera. And sometime middle of the season, they'll get Jabba Chamberlain back. The 2-2. Oh, a little bit high, maybe outside, and it's filled up on Luke Scott.
Well, their bullpen is a tremendous strength. And every year you say, well, Rivera, I don't know, he's getting older. You know, I'm not going to say anything about Rivera. I'm just going to let him retire whenever he wants, because he keeps doing it. And they have a lot of different weapons that close ball games out.
Such a luxury to have a guy who can nail it down every time, and we're going to be the greatest closer of all time. I don't know that there's really much of an argument, to be honest with you.
And the amazing thing with one pitch, basically. I mean, that's off the charts. He's one pitch, but he never throws anything in the middle of the plate, and that shows the importance of location.
A swing and a miss. Scott is down, and there's one away. The play Rapata taking over for Phil Hughes, who looked pretty good. The one mistake to homer. Matt Joyce took him out of the park. And then Hughes able to find his rhythm through a couple of nice pitches, including the changeup, talking with Larry Rothschild. And then that competition for one of the spots in the rotation. And for more on Phil Hughes, we turn it over to Jessica.
Well, I spoke with Coach Girardi before the game. What he's really looking for from Phil Hughes is he wants him challenged. He's like, I want to see him go 2-3 times through the lineup. So when he gives up a home run like we saw with Matt Joyce, how does he make those adjustments? If his best stuff isn't working, what's going to be his next go-to? And he's like, that's what I'm looking for.
Bouncer to Nunez, who charges and fires. Longoria out 2 away.
Oh, that's absolutely a great point that Jessica makes, because it's about responding. You know, if you're not confident in your game, you give up that home run, you give up another 3 spot. But he cut it down. He changed the plan. He got Joyce on the changeup, had a different approach to him the next at bat, and he shut him down. And that type of response is what allows you to win ball games.
2 down, bases empty. Carlos Pena up for the 3rd time. He singled and scored. He's also walked. He's one of those guys, 3 true outcome guys. A walk, a homer, a strikeout. That is normally the way his at-bats end. Or I should say his plate appearances end with one of those 3 results. Joe Girardi going with a spot here that they would normally bring Rapata into, as he gets to go up against a couple of lefties.
Well, he throws what you consider like a frisbee. You know, it sort of glides by you as a left-handed hitter, and it's hard to stay back. As a left-handed hitter, you need to keep your weight back as much as you can, because you need to see it for a long time. But his delivery and picking up that window is very tough.
That's in there for a strike, 1-2.
And you saw he actually took some velocity off of it. So he has different types of sort of slurvy slider type pitches. And so timing becomes an issue, let alone picking up his release point.
Rapata ahead of Pena. They appeal to 3rd, and he went. Tim Cheetah rings him up, and that's that. Rays go 1-2-3. We go to the 7th with Tampa Bay on top. On to the 7th. Rays lead the Yankees 2-1. Let's go down to Jessica Mendoza, who's standing by with Alex Rodriguez.
Alex, a lot of your teammates talk about how you've been teaching them the game, your experience. What are your main goals? What do you kind of do, especially with these young guys, as far as teaching?
Well, you just kind of want to show them the way. You don't want to really say too much and kind of lead by example. We have a great bunch of young guys in the farm system coming up. The talent's overwhelming, and it's just been fun, mentoring some of these young guys.
Well, Coach Girardi, before the game, was talking about this 90-minute bus ride, and you going back now after the game. Especially with your body, the way it's at right now, how do you recover, and what are some of the things you do to prepare yourself to be the best?
Well, 90 minutes is a good investment because we don't have to go down to Fort Myers, which is like 3 hours tomorrow. You try to just go out and do your correctives, get a good stretch. Now we get in the cold tub and do a little, preparation for tomorrow.
All right, so your knee last year with the surgery, how are you recovering and how does it feel right now?
Yeah, and I think the inflammation has decreased quite a bit. So far, so good. I feel strong, and hopefully I can stay healthy all year.
All right, thanks a lot, Alex.
All right, thank you.
Alex Rodriguez, the Yankees need him healthy. Even though he wasn't healthy last year, they were second in the majors in runs scored. It's a great lineup with a ton of depth.
Oh, yeah, and he was talking about the bus ride, and I think we used to have a term called bus back. You blow out your back from minor league trips. But I figured Joe Girardi, he's got some old school in him. He knows that 90-minute trips are not too bad, and these guys know exactly how to bounce back if they need to.
Breaking ball for a strike, and another big-time star for the Yankees down in the dugout with Jessica. Mark Teixeira standing by.
All right, Mark, so all you guys making the 90-minute bus ride. Tell me about, making the trips, how you guys decide, and kind of what's the attitude in making the longer bus rides?
Well, we like to try to stay together as an infield. Derek's a little banged up right now, but the infielders just get on a schedule, and right now we're playing 2 or 3 in a row, which is great. We're getting ready for the season.
There were a lot of critics about you defensively, being able to hold your own. And last year you proved everybody wrong. What have been some of the things that you've worked on defensively to kind of help your game, not just your offense, but your defense?
Defensively, a lot of critics. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Just keep trying to go out there and do my job.
How do you feel the team's looking right now in spring training? Obviously, opening day not too far away. What are your biggest thoughts?
Just got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing right now in spring training. Get ready for the season. Get out of here in one piece, and get ready for opening day.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
So Mark Teixeira, after last year, the power was certainly there for Mark Teixeira. Now, you played with him in Texas, right?
No, absolutely. And when he first came up, they couldn't define his position. They were trying to figure out where he was going to go, third, first. He was sort of struggling with his confidence getting going. I forgot what he started, but it was 0 for something. And then, amazingly, he just kept working at it, found his position, and then ended up rocketing to this level where he's able to now have a Gold Glove in his case. So he's put in the work, and he's an example of what you can do to change position, sort of what Miguel Cabrera is dealing with right now. You can still be productive and still produce, no doubt.
Yeah, Mark Teixeira, drafted as a third baseman out of Georgia Tech, and finally let him out of the gate. And he moved across the diamond when they decided to put Hank Blaylock at third base. He's become a very good defensive player.
Yep, that changed everything, and he put a lot of time to learn his position, a lot of early work, ground balls, and made himself into a great first baseman now.
Jorge Vasquez. So again, most of the regulars have gotten their at-bats in. And A-Rod and Teixeira heading off to the clubhouse. Rays lead it 2-1.
It looks like he gives you a similar look as Howell does out of the pen, turning it over, and it's going to be important for him to keep it down in the zone, keep it out of that hitting zone. Because once he keeps it down, especially in situations like this, you can get that double play and get 2 for 1.
That ball is hit in the air, left center field. Feliciano out there diving, and he can't make the grab. Garner around third. He's in to score. And Vasquez has tied it up with an RBI double. Feliciano and Joyce giving chase, couldn't come up with it.
Yeah, he elevated the pitch a little bit, and he jumped all over it. Certainly he caught enough of the meat of the zone. And interesting enough, he hooked it enough, and that throws off the outfielders a little bit because he was shading a little bit one way, had to go against his body to try to cut it off, and couldn't quite make the catch.
I'm sure that Joe Maddon was kind of holding his breath as Joyce had to jump over Feliciano. They already had Jennings and Upton collide last week, as we mentioned. And a strike pumped in to Maxwell.
And that's a tough pitch from a lefty because he cut it in. You start to get leaning over. You're seeing he's turning it over, working it away, and then all of a sudden he cuts one hard on your hands. Very tough to adjust.
Here's the 0-1. Joe Maddon's team overall pretty healthy right now, but both Jennings and Upton after the collision came up a little bit sore. Glove of Molina, but Vasquez can't advance. 2 balls and a strike. Get to see a parade of Rays relievers. No true starter starting today. Their closer Kyle Farnsworth started the game. It's Jeff Neiman's turn. He's pitching in a minor league game. Phil Hughes, 5 innings for the Yankees, gave up 2 runs. 2-2 now.
Well, I like how they try to keep people's secrets, you know. Oh, Jeff Neiman, you know, David Price, what does he have? Nobody knows. We're not going to, you know, I don't know. I guess it's something that sort of traditionally managers do, or organizations do, is that don't show your aces early in spring.
I guess ultimately, if it helps you even the slightest bit, you might as well do it. I know our colleague Kurt Schilling was a believer in it. He didn't match up with teams in spring training that he thought he would get a chance to see. Payoff pitch. Got him swinging. 2 down. Fans Wednesday night. ESPN is an NBA doubleheader. 7 Eastern. The Knicks in action. Carmelo Anthony and company will take on the 76ers. And then at 9:30 Eastern, Kobe Bryant, the Lakers, Dirk Nowitzki, and the Mavericks. New York Knicks, a little bit of a mutiny on Coach Mike D'Antoni. And NFL news affecting the New York area. The Jets have acquired Tim Tebow for a 4th-round pick from the Denver Broncos. And one other NFL note, Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, suspended for 1 year for Bountygate. And speaking of the Jets, Joe Maddon and the Rays, they were in Jupiter, Florida yesterday, and Joe Maddon got to hook up with one of his heroes, Joe Namath, Joe Willie. Both of them from Pennsylvania. Joe Maddon from Hazleton, Pennsylvania. Of course, Joe Namath from Beaver Falls. And Joe Maddon was a high school quarterback. Namath was his idol. They get a chance to get together, and there's no doubt Joe Maddon said he was starstruck. Namath went out and handed out the lineup card, as you saw. He stayed for all 9 innings. And pretty neat to see. A chance to meet a childhood hero for Joe Maddon. Joe Namath lives in that area. Who was your guy as a kid?
You know, I was a Denver Broncos fan, and that's because my brother got me into football so early. I just picked teams off of cool uniforms. and they had the Orange Crush. I remember the Orange Crush defense. So I got into them even before Elway, but when Elway came along, I mean, I loved watching him play, and he was probably my favorite guy all time.
Pretty good guy to be a fan of. I know you're questioning the Peyton Manning move. You're wondering.
I mean, I don't know how that works. You know, he's had his neck. You know, they have a long-term deal. I'm sure they figure it out. But you know, Tebow's out, and they're going with Manning, so he must be showing that he's healthy.
Packed house here in Port Charlotte. We're tied at 2 in the 7th with 2 outs, man at second, and Jake McGee will take over. Another lefty. 37 appearances last year. And so McGee and Gustavo Molina will get a chance to hit for the first time. These teams will open up the season against one another. And the AL East is going to be stacked. Rays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, even the Blue Jays, they continue to get better.
Absolutely.
One and 0 to Molina. McGee fires. And that clips the corner. Gustavo Molina, if you're wondering, is not a member of the catching Molinas. I mean, he is, but he's not part of the Benji Jose Yadier group. No relation.
That is a group. That's quite a story. 3 brothers, catchers, all major league.
Third base. Chance handled there. The Yankees pick up the equalizer. Time to stretch here in Port Charlotte. We're locked up at 2. Back here, Port Charlotte, bottom 7. Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN presented by Gillette. Locked up at 2, the Yanks and the Rays. And we send it down to Jessica Mendoza.
Carlos, first I got to ask you, how does it feel to put the Rays uniform back on?
You know, I'm extremely excited and happy to be back, you know, just to be together with my ex-teammates. Now, once again my teammates, but always my friends. That's the main thing. I think I've made great friendships here, and friendships I'm going to take with me my whole entire life. So just to be back on the same team with them is just awesome.
Well, you talk a lot about your teammates, but you've also spoken so well of your coach, Joe Maddon. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to play for him.
Joe is the best, man. I mean, just the way he keeps everybody loose. He has a lot of ideas that are innovative, if anything, and that is always fun just to hear what he's got to say about some place on the field. And he just keeps you alert, keeps you on your toes, and I think we become better because Joe gives us that freedom to just keep on improving and growing. So it's a lot of fun to play for him. I have a blast.
Well, having a blast. What are also some of the things that your goals for this year? What you kind of want to work on the most in your own game?
Well, I have a lot of things that I would like to improve on, and that's always the case. I would like to be more consistent. Making more contact. And I know that if I do that, I'll be able to produce a little bit more for the ball club. So every single time I'm able to swing the bat and put the ball in play, I know I'm going to do it with some force and drive into those runs and hit those big home runs. So I'm more concerned with getting good pitch to hit and put it in play pretty hard. So I want to do that more often, throughout the year. So we'll see. We're working on it every single day. It never stops.
Awesome. I'll let you get back to working on it. Thanks a lot, Carlos. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Carlos Pena back in a Rays uniform. 3 years with Tampa Bay, interrupted last year by his year with the Cubs. Cesar Cabral takes over, deals a pitch that is bounced foul to Jeff Keppinger. 1 out, base is empty. 2-2 game.
Yeah, Pena, clearly enjoys working with Maddon, and sometimes that's what it takes to just sort of reset yourself. You take a year vacation somewhere, you come back, and you kind of found you learn something different, and you have a different level of respect, and that may make him really get those goals that he's talking about, making contact, being more consistent.
0-2 to Keppinger. And lined into right field for a base hit. His second hit of the day. These two teams will match up for their openers April 6th in St. Pete. And how about the Rays' April schedule?
Oh, woo. This is serious right here. Yankees, Tigers, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Twins, Angels, and Rangers. So, I mean, I know Joe Maddon has spoken. He wants to get off to a good start for a lot of reasons. If you don't, you might be buried in your division. But certainly if you do, the confidence that comes with it is going to be off the charts because you're beating the best in the game.
There's a strike to Molina.
And somewhere I heard that was like the third toughest. They have the third toughest schedules. But that April, I don't know who has a tougher schedule than that. That is as tough as it gets.
The 0-1 misses outside. Oh, when you look at the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Tigers, and then Angels and Rangers, I mean, that's besides the Rays, those are the other 5 best teams.
Yeah, I'm looking for the 27 Yankees in here, but I guess Babe Ruth retired. But that's a very formidable list of teams.
Good off speed, Molina out in front.
Well, you see Molina a lot of years in the game and still getting these good opportunities to play every day just about. He'll play a lot, and that speaks a lot to his defense and the way he manages his pitching staff.
36 years old. Runner on the go. And a strikeout, and Rhymes has a stolen base.
And I played with his brother in Puerto Rico in winter ball, Ben, and we saw how we were like, this guy's going to definitely make it. And then they kept saying, oh, he has another brother. It's like, oh, this guy, oh, he has another brother. And the other brother is better than so they just kept coming. I was waiting for like 4 more Molinas. I mean, you can't have a team of 9 catchers, but I mean, they just had something in them, just their whole family, that they had a great knack for it and obviously took it to the highest level.
Jesus Feliciano comes up empty there. Rays did not get a lot of production from the catching spot last season. Jaso and Shopik shared the duty, and Jaso shipped off to the Mariners. Shopik now with the Red Sox.
Well, they had the offensive-minded guys, and now they have much more of a defensive-minded situation. And, you know, with the pitching staff they have in the defense, that might be the way to go because they certainly can keep runs off the board.
Slapped foul. And Feliciano in an 0-2 hold. Rays catchers last year really struggled. I mean, collectively a 194 average. That went all the way to the backstop. But how about that? Ricocheted right to Molina. And a close play at third, but Rhymes in there.
And that's what you start to look for with 2 strikes and 2 outs. You want to get a great secondary lead towards third because now, as soon as the ball is hit and play, you want to take that turn. But, you know, you're reading, you see he's out there, gets by him, advances 90 feet, and now that same type of pitch scores you a run.
I think a good throw might have had him on the redirect from behind home plate.
Little pinball, it works.
Just foul down the left field line. And these two have other things to worry about down there.
Get dirty.
Great things in spring training.
Well, you see, it's simple. All you need is a cup of dirt,
that's right,
and you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's some beautiful things.
And of course, make sure to hydrate. George Hendrick high stepping down there.
And I always credit George Hendrick, by the way, to be one of the first to pull those pants all the way down like he's wearing some sort of slacks. I mean, he did that since day one. And, you know, you see a lot of guys now with the pants over the legs, and they have stirrups and Velcro and all that, but Hendrick was the guy, I think, that coined it.
Got him swinging. Cabral gets the job done. 3 strikeouts. On to the 8th. 2 apiece. ESPN Spring Training is presented by Gillette. Great things start with Gillette. Here in Port Charlotte, we go to the 8th inning. Yankees and the Rays tied at 2. John Shelby, Doug Glanville, and Jessica Mendoza here at Charlotte Sports Complex.
It used to be where the Rangers trained, and I didn't even recognize it. I was like, I don't think I've been here before. And I was like, oh yeah, when they were in Texas, they really cleaned it up, make it a really nice ballpark right here.
Don't wait a second. You didn't recognize it. Did you have spring training here?
Well, when I was with the Phillies, we played in Clearwater, so we made trips to play the Rangers. So I had been here a few times, and no idea that I was actually the same place. They hooked it up. They put a whole lot of nice facilities around.
Right side. Will Rhymes handles the chance. College basketball tonight. The NIT continues on ESPN2. Pair of quarterfinal matchups, 7 Eastern. It's Minnesota taking on Middle Tennessee. And then 9 Eastern, Nevada will play Stanford. Quarterfinals NIT on ESPN2 and ESPN3. Jessica Mendoza, I'm sure, will be watching to see how the Stanford Cardinal fare. Obviously, college basketball connected to Joe Maddon and the Tampa Bay Rays, big supporters of the University of South Florida.
I was just talking with Sam, too, about it.
All right, so Jessica, you and Sam Fold, pair of Stanford grads. You'll be checking out some NIT tonight.
Oh, yeah, we were actually just talking about it. He just left to a bunch of the guys to head on out and go swing in the cage. And he's like, are you watching the Cardinal? Are you watching that game? So it's funny you mentioned that because we're still rooting for Stanford, the two of us, for sure.
Yes, the Cardinal.
Now, did you ever play against them in college?
No. We mostly East Coast teams, but we made the NCAA regionals a couple of times and got beat up by Arizona State by like 15-1. But we had a couple of good teams.
McGee gets the strikeout as Curtis is down on strikes, and 2 away here in the 8th. And Jose Gil will come up to hit.
You can see the Rays have a lot of lefties that they're throwing out here just to see who's going to be in the mix. So most importantly to take from this is the depth. If they have any injuries, they have other guys that have been there, had success. So it looks like they got lefties handled very well.
Now, Joe Maddon has good options out there in that bullpen. Rays allowed the fewest runs in the American League last year. Up the middle, hits the bag, and then squirts into center. So Gil comes up with a hit with 2 outs.
Shortstop number 74, Doug Bernier.
Doug Bernier will come up to hit.
And these guys are coming up, minor league experience, getting onto the roster. These are still huge at bats. It's late in the game, 2-2 tie. Girardi's watching very closely. Who could be that guy to come up and contribute?
There's a strike. Do you remember when, not that you had a chance to make a team, but do you remember getting at bats in a big league camp where you knew you were going back to the minors, but you just got to get a chance to get your feet wet?
Oh, no doubt. Especially the first year where I was hitting like 112 and struggling the whole camp, and I was, just learning. But I remember facing the guy, Chris Bosio, who was just nasty with Milwaukee. And there's no question you're a little starstruck initially, but settled in pretty well. And it's important. Every at-bat counts, and doesn't matter when or who. You could do something to change somebody's mind.
It's one of those things, though, every once in a while it gets dangerous. You get decisions made on small sample sizes as far as rosters.
It's tough, and you might be playing in a B game or on the backfield, but you have to take every at-bat like it's, the World Series. And then next thing you know, you're on that roster, you're playing in the A games. And I remember my locker being next to Ryan Sandberg. I said, whoa, wait a minute now. I've arrived. I gotta get locked in here. So all these younger players are having that experience of playing, especially in an organization like the Yankees with such a storied history.
The 2-1 now. And 3 balls and a strike to Doug Bernier. Phil Hughes started for the Yankees, went 5, gave up 2 runs, and they came on a Matt Joyce 2-run homer. The Yankees have gotten single runs in the 6th and the 7th.
Well, he was at a great start. You know, he was efficient. He worked both sides of the plate, and he bent a little bit, and then he didn't break. He came back and responded to Joyce by striking him out with a good pitch sequence. And very positive signs, especially as he's getting warmed up towards the end of camp.
3-2, 2 outs. Gill at first. Payoff pitch to Bernier, and he walked him. If you were to look at this division as far as the Yankees, the Rays, and the Red Sox, is there a favorite in your mind?
I think these guys are very closely matched, and they all have different strengths. That's what's going to be trouble. A lot of people are picking the Yankees like they've gotten Pineda, but I'm not so sure. Pineda's still young. He's not just sort of an automatic. I don't think they've necessarily separated themselves that much. I still think all 3 teams have a great shot. And by the end of the camp, though, I will definitely know who my favorite's going to be. I'm watching these guys closely, and I mean, we saw Boston the other day, and they're loaded. I mean, they're very much loaded. If they get the starting rotation, they'll be strong.
Bill Hall takes a strike. He's a veteran guy in camp trying to make a roster.
Yeah, and Bill Hall's, you know, been a little puzzling. He's got super talent, had sort of the big deal, and but he has had highs and had lows, and he's just trying to figure out a way to be consistent. So he's starting to bounce around a little bit, but he's had some flashes where he's done really well.
Just off the inside edge.
And I always think of Bill Hall as for Mother's Day when they have the pink bats and the recognition. I'm sorry, not for Mother's Day, but breast awareness, breast cancer awareness, and all of a sudden, you know, he can't get him out because his mother was affected and afflicted by that. So he's a guy that can really play. He's got a lot of talent.
Out to short, and Johnson goes the short way. That is the inning. Oh, how about a little root beer float here in Port Charlotte? We float along, tied at 2.
My first year I was number 74. I think the second year I was 73. And then I jumped down to 2.
My first number was 86, and one of the guys told me, you know what that means, right? No. He goes, well, you'll be 86th out of here.
First time I got called over, I was number 88, starting wide receiver for the New York Mets.
It takes me back to my first spring training. They Velcro your name on the back of your jersey.
Ricky Henderson told me back in the Mets days that if your numbers add up to over 10, you're not making the squad.
That is good stuff. Over 10, no shot. Yeah, from 73 down to 2. All right, so what was your highest spring training number that you recall?
Well, I dodged that bullet. I mean, I was 31. That's not. I added up to 4. I was okay. But before that, there were certainly other days where I came. They'll call you up sometimes from minor league camp, and then they slap anything on it. I'm sure I had like 83 or something crazy like that. But I was fortunate once I got there as an everyday roster guy, they gave me 31, which of course was gone Maddox, and ended up with 1, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, 1 is always cool. Well, today's starter, Phil Hughes, he wears number 65.
True. If you have number 1 and you don't make the team, that's a bad sign.
Mitch Williams, 99. That one ripped down the left field line. And that'll be extra bases. Elliott Johnson with the double. And a go-ahead run in scoring position.
You see Johnson there, just sort of, the pitch sort of caught up, but he kind of ran straight to the base thinking that the ball was kind of fielded, so he had to pick his head up, pick up the coach, and make his turn. So, but you got to go hard straight until proven otherwise, and he ran to the base very aggressively.
And a balk has been called. So Cabral balks, and a go-ahead run 90 feet away.
90 feet is gold, and more teams are taking advantage of it on the bases, but certainly you don't want sort of a mental mistake like a balk to cause you to basically put your team in jeopardy.
There's Salazar here.
So as a base runner on third base here, this is where you're looking for that ball in the dirt. Anything can happen, and you know that you have a chance to score really without a batter swinging the bat. So anticipation, getting that good secondary lead down the line, and maybe you could steal 90 feet.
Now talk about him shortening to bunt in this spot. Is that being called from the dugout? Is it something he's looking to do? And if it's from the dugout, why?
Well, from the dugout, you can see just to see what their defense is going to do. How are they going to play it? Are they going to be aggressive in? Are they going to concede?
Roped down the right field line, but that one foul. Fan up there on the berm almost made the catch.
Hands are stinging right there. But no question that you do certain moves to see what the defense is going to do. I mean, clearly they're in. This is late in the game. It's a tie ball game, so they want to cut this runner off because that's the winning run. But certainly as a hitter, you can see what they're going to play, and then next thing you know, you kind of pull it back and knock it down. And all of a sudden you take that full swing and somebody's charging in, they're in trouble.
Jeff Salazar trying to deliver the go-ahead run. Got him swinging. Cabral with his 4th strikeout.
Well, Cabral does a nice job of changing speeds. He kind of pulls the string on that one, gets him way out in front. So he's putting himself in a position to get out of this inning.
Luke Scott will get a chance at it with the infield in, tied at 2. Here in the bottom of the 8th, Scott has struck out twice today.
Now, as a hitter, you want to try to get that ball elevated. Anything that you can get the fly ball, hoping that just the sac fly is enough. So you're trying to be patient because the pitcher certainly knows that, and they're trying to keep it down, make you roll over, hit it in the ground, or just flat out swing and miss.
Kept the ball down, and Scott over top of it.
Well, he's got a nice off-speed pitch there. He's pulling the string. He's slowing them down. So in response, Scott's got to slow himself down. Be patient because the pitcher is against the ropes right here. He's the one who has to make the right pitch. And if you play into his hand by chasing, you're just making yourself get yourself out.
Good stop by Molina. The count even up 1-1.
And the other factor is if he keeps going back to the well, change up in the dirt, bounce, 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 eventually one's going to get away. So this is where that runner at third base has to anticipate because it may not have to go to the backstop. If he blocks it and rolls away, you can slide in there in the front door, quite frankly.
Elliott Johnson, who was just chatting with third base coach Tom Foley, I'm sure telling him that, among others. Be alert.
Be alert.
Here's a 1-1. 2 balls and a strike now. Scott having some fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he hits with shades. I could never hit with shades on. It was like the light or I don't know. It was just weird. It changed the perspective.
You see guys do that. Alex Rodriguez does. A decent amount of guys are comfortable enough doing it. I would struggle with those. That really clash with my hair.
I mean, I notice every time I put shades on, there's like a magnification effect. Something gets bigger. And I'm trying to hit it. It was too weird for me. But some guys seem to do well with it. So more power to them.
Jessica Mendoza, did you play with sunglasses?
I always do. Actually, everyone always asks me that because I'm one of the only players that wears them when I hit. Because you'll see them on, Doug, you know this as an outfielder. You'll wear them as an outfielder, but hitting, I can't hit without them. I love having sunglasses because that glare to me is so much worse anytime I have to squint my eyes. So I can only hit with my glasses now.
And is that coming from the sort of the backdrop, or is it just everything behind you?
It's honestly just more the combination of the backdrop and then also just the brightness of the sun on day games.
Cabral gets a strikeout, and they almost picked Elliott Johnson off of third. The guy I remember back in the day that first started wearing them as a hitter. Do you remember when Mookie Wilson wore them? But he didn't. He had these sort of rose-tinted glasses that he would wear when he was playing center field for the Mets, and he was the only guy back then that would wear them.
Yeah, I don't know. Old school guys are like, they want to knock those glasses off your face. I mean, that's what the old school would say. But there's a function.
I'm going to go ahead and intentionally walk Chris Jimenez. Go after Matt Mangini.
This goes to show, this is not meaningless. I mean, they're trying to work strategies. They're thinking through every at-bat, every pitch. And Cabral's done a nice job of getting out of situations, making big pitches here. And he's putting himself in a position to really get out of this without allowing this winning run to get by.
Tied at 2, bottom of the 8th. Rays jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the second on a Matt Joyce 2-run homer off Phil Hughes. The Yankees with single runs in the 6th and the 7th. And now runners at first and third, 2 down, and Matt Mangini will get a chance to hit for the first time. And get a chance to deliver the go-ahead run.
Well, Mangini is in an advantage position right now. He's seen him throw to lefties all inning long. He knows exactly what he's trying to do. So if he can avoid that chase, that ball in the dirt, make him elevate it, he could probably get himself a hit and knock in this lead run.
Fastball pumped in there for a strike.
Yeah, he may not see that one again. I mean, he kind of gave him something to hit there. And from here on, it's going to be chase, chase, chase.
Johnson at third, Jimenez at first. And a runner takes off for second. That's Jimenez.
But, I always wonder about how they concede these runners and giving. I think that's a mistake when you just sort of just let guys constantly just take. I mean, you're 90 feet closer. I mean, that's 2 runs instead of 1. But there's a lot of this sort of indifference about it. And I say 90 feet is 90 feet. And maybe if it's a guy like Bonds or something, you don't want to walk. It's one thing, but in that situation, I'll take it.
Good pitch there that clips the outside corner.
And as a pitcher, if that does happen, you got to still zone in and make sure you're still trying to make your pitches. And he's going to that off speed, and nobody's shown that they can lay off it or hit it. And I imagine he'll keep going to the well every time.
All 5 of his outs via the strikeout. Make it all 6. Cesar Cabral able to get out of the jam. We'll go to the 9th. The Rays, the Yankees tied at 2 at Port Charlotte. Fans, MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. You can watch almost 100 out-of-market games live per week on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Outfielder number 73, Cole Garner.
Well, new pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. It'll be Brandon Gomes to take over. And Gomes, 40 games last year, 37 innings, 32 strikeouts. Did good work, 2.92 ERA. Yeah, there's a strike.
And historically, he's been a strikeout pitcher. I mean, more strikeouts than innings pitched in the minor leagues. He certainly gets that swing and miss, and it's a lot to do with movement and location.
A 1 down to Garner. Good slider, and he went.
When he lives down there, if he can live down below the knees, that's where he's most effective. And that late break, you see the slider falling out of the zone, then he can mix it up by sinking it back. He's done a nice job of doing that throughout his career, and that's why he's had his success that he's had.
Pitch off the outside edge, 1-2. Gomes played his college ball at Tulane. He was originally from Massachusetts. And he fires. Center field. That one well hit and over the head of Brad Kuhn. And that's going to be an automatic double as it hopped over the wall and then bounced to the batter's eye.
Well, that was the one pitch that he got up in the zone and it wasn't missed. So staying down is how he survives. But once he gets elevated, look what the hitter can do with it. Just stay through it. A nice, short, compact swing, and look how far that ball was able to travel.
Actually hit the deck out there. It's just beyond the wall.
It's a long way.
It's a nice setup. I like in the outfield the way the fans can kind of lean over and watch. Just standing room out there. First one to Vasquez in the air, right center field. Kuhn going back some more, and he's able to haul it in. And Garner will stop at third. That was pretty well hit.
Well, that's what the hitter's trying to do. You saw he take a little bit of an inside-out swing, actually, going the other way to get the 90 feet to move the runner over. And once you get that 90 feet, now the Yankees have 2 opportunities, 2 outs to work with to bring him home.
See the wind blowing towards the left field corner. Infield in, and Justin Maxwell will come up and try and drive in the go-ahead run. Right field, Kang chasing in, racing, it falls for a hit. Garner in to score, throw gets away. The Yankees take a 3-2 lead on that little bloop double.
Well, they were playing way over sort of right center, so he had a long way to run. And you know, when you have the go-ahead run 90 feet away, it's a pretty deep position they were in. But almost gets there, not quite enough, and that shortfall right there leads to the lead run scoring.
Kyung Kang out there in right field. Just too far to go. So the double for Maxwell, the University of Maryland product. And here's Gustavo Molina. 3-2 Yankees. Breaking ball in for a strike.
Well, you can see the difference in the results for Gomes. If he's down at the knees and below, nobody's touching him. He gets his strikeouts. But as soon as he starts elevating that sinker, they're hitting the ball a long way, getting good swings on it.
Molina chasing another one that's downstairs. So Gomes has gotten locked back in.
He's got that slider, and that's a nasty pitch because it has a little slur of action sort of in between. So you're trying to compensate for high velocity, but also with a little bit of a curveball movement. So he hadn't gone to it as much, and that sinker really has been the thing that's hurt him this inning.
That ball's hit pretty well left field. And that one is out of here into the bullpen and gone. Gustavo Molina, 2-run blast. And the Yankees have opened up a 5-2 lead. Took an 0-2 pitch and blasted it.
Well, Gomes has the stuff, but the location is not where he wants it. You see it catches the heart of the plate. Not a lot of movement. That sinker elevated just flattened out. And Molina just put a fantastic swing on it. And you can hear it.
Gustavo Molina, he knows the setup. When you have Russell Martin catching, Cervelli will be the backup. That was a home run with glasses on, by the way.
Like I said, it's quite amazing. But they have so many different lenses now. You mean, you can see through walls, all kind of stuff.
I was not aware of that. Those are the special Oakleys.
Yeah, they're expensive, though.
Pitch to Pena misses, and they count 2-0.
I mean, you can see that Gomes has good stuff. I mean, it's very clear. It's all about whether he's up or down, you know, and that's true for pretty much any sinker ball pitcher. But you can see why they like this guy and knows that he has an opportunity to help this team win games.
Well, spring training is a time where you've got to be able to just push aside results. A guy like Gomes is going to get maybe 9-10 innings the entire time, and maybe he has one bad one, and he's just kind of got to push it aside and focus on executing pitches.
They got a lot of runs.
Walked him on 4, so Pena will take his base.
And a lot of it is perception. You know, you can't get caught up in numbers too much. I remember going in after the strike year, and they cut spring training short, and I got 8 at-bats, you know. So what can you really do with that? But they know what you can do. They know where you're coming from. They know your capabilities. Unless it's an extreme result one way or the other, they're already in the window of where they see you fitting. So he's a guy that's going to help this team at different points during the year.
First one to Curtis, right there at the knees. Coming up at the end of this game, it'll be NFL Live. They'll probably have a little bit to talk about. And I say that facetiously. 2 huge stories today. Sean Payton of the Saints, the head coach, suspended for 1 year because of Bounty Gate. And then the Jets acquiring Tim Tebow from the Denver Broncos for a 4th-round pick. Foul back out of play. Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, suspended indefinitely. So Roger Goodell dropping the hammer on the Saints.
You can't really have bounty hunting in baseball. It's tough. There's too much opportunity to retaliate in certain ways, and I don't know. It's, you know, I guess in football they can get you, but wow, they had something going on there.
Yeah, it doesn't play in other sports. It's going to cost Sean Payton $7.5 million in salary.
That's an expensive bounty right there.
Yeah.
You could probably bounty hunt the Loch Ness Monster for that kind of money.
Two foul tip into the glove of Molina. Snap throw too late. Strikeout. And there's 2 down.
I kind of like to see the fact that these taboo things historically are now getting challenged, right? You never throw behind a left-handed hitter as a catcher, right? Because nobody can see. But, you know, that went out the window. So the game keeps getting pushed, and you see them trying different things, and all of a sudden you realize it actually can work.
Well, look, I think that any time the answer to the question is, well, that's just the way we've always done it, that's not good enough. That always should be challenged. In the dirt, and Pena will take off.
That actually fires me up right there, because I think this is a play that does not happen enough in the game. A ball in the dirt, you can get 90 feet very easily if you just anticipate that the catcher is going down to block it. And once he goes down on his knees and is playing, you know, desperation. I mean, look at the secondary right there. He took off. He didn't hesitate. No catcher can block the ball, chase it, run away, get the hitter out of the way, fire a strike to second base in time for you to make it. So most balls on the dirt, I like to see runners push the envelope a little bit more.
Pena had a good secondary lead there. Gill gets a piece.
And what that does for your team is now he's at second base, 2 outs. He's in scoring position. 1 hit makes it 6-2, and now you're putting it into more of an unreachable category. Now, of course, if you have Mariano Rivera, you know, see you later. But that 90 feet is very critical, and too many balls in the dirt players aren't really advancing on, and that's a big loss.
1-2 now. You can't really practice that, though, correct?
You can. You can. We used to go in the backfield with the Phillies, and we'd be at first, and the pitcher, the coach would throw it. Some of them he'd bounce, some of them he'd throw strikes on. And you have to read the bounce and then take your secondary lead and then just keep going. And you were running so early that sometimes you got stolen bases credited because you knew you'd have to block it and be very difficult fielding.
Got him swinging, and that's that. But the Yankees used 3 extra base hits to get 3 in the inning, including the 2-run homer from Gustavo Molina. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. 5-2 New York.
Pitch is low. The throw to second base. They got him. Ball game over. 600 saves.
This will do it. Granderson's there, and Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman stand alone.
The pitch is strike 3. He's done it. Mariano, the greatest relief pitcher in the history of baseball.
Well, in this spot, normally it would be Mariano Rivera time, but the Yankees will turn it over to Mike O'Connor. And Mo Rivera will enter his 18th season. We'll see if it's his last season. How many times did you get a chance to face him?
1, and that was enough. That was enough to just basically realize that was the best fastball I'd seen in my life. Just explodes. I mean, halfway there, it like gets a fighter jet and just takes off. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, that cut fastball moves away from righties into the lefties.
I also had a chance to play with him in spring training in 2005 and just watching him. But he repeats everything to a T. His angle, his arm release, his motion. I mean, I think in terms of degree of difficulty, it's one of the greatest things in sports. I mean, one pitch, getting people out for decades.
Yeah, people know it's coming. Different guys have tried different things. You've seen some switch hitters actually hit right-handed against them because they think they have a better chance that way, but nobody's really ever figured it out. Line drive caught at first there by Vasquez.
I mean, there's no response to Mariano Rivera. He has to, and to show you how great these hitters are is when he's off for him, which is almost like Halley's Comet. It's so rare. Then you see what happened last year. Russell Brandon hit us a home run off him. So they can hit mistakes. He just doesn't make any. He doesn't put anything in the middle of the plate. And we looked at the science behind it. Pretty much all of his movement happens like in the last 10 feet. So it's actually physically impossible to see it and hit it. You have to anticipate where it's going to be. So it's almost like a magic trick, basically.
Absolutely. That you know it's coming and you still can't do anything about it.
No, because the movement is so late in the game that you have to swing where you think it's going to be. And you're wrong a lot, you know.
Sure.
It's really unbelievable to be able to take one pitch for that long, to be that consistent, that effective against major league hitters who know what's coming.
One of those things you just can't simulate. There's no way to simulate that. This pitch right there, and it's 1-2. The sides going down as one of the, and I have to be the best reliever, best closer. He's also should go down as one of the best postseason performers ever.
Oh, ice water in his veins. I mean, he just unaffected and just has that perspective.
That one right center field. Maxwell is there. 2 down.
And there's guys, you know, I faced Greg Maddux, and he does things that seem to trick your eyes. You think it's going this way and it goes that way. But you know kind of how it's going to move. You just can't do anything about it. And that just wears on you. But, you know, whenever he came in the game, you were just like, oh, boy, you know, people just knew that he could only get himself out of the game. That's about it.
How about Jose Molina, 36 years old, going the distance today behind the plate?
I think he's going to get about 3 days off now after this, catching 9.
Right field, that's pretty well hit. Colin Curtis on the move, and it'll bounce up against the wall. Molina will chug into second.
Didn't try to do too much, just goes the other way. And, you know, I know the Molinas are not known for their speed, but they certainly can play this game. And there are some very intelligent catchers and been around a long time. They play a long time. It's quite a legacy, these guys.
Sean O'Malley will be the pinch runner out there at second. And here is Kyung Kong, the right fielder. Yankees got 3 in the ninth to break it 2-all tie.
Yes, just then Benji Molina has had a few triples, so I want to give him some love for that. He hit for the cycle. I mean, they can do it all.
O'Connor ahead, 0-2. Rays down to their final strike. And again, these two teams will open the season against one another. And that will be at Tropicana Field on April 6th.
I like the 2-flap helmet. You know, I mean, telling you, especially if you're on first base and you dive back and it's sort of against your ear flap. I mean, it doesn't look, you know, that fantastic. It's not fashion, but you know, it's safe.
A swing and a miss, and that'll do it as the Yankees win it. What'd you think of Phil Hughes today?
Did a great job. That's what they're looking for. He did a nice job of hitting his spots and lasting, getting over the hump. Did a great job.
Yankees get 3 in the ninth and beat the Rays 5-2. Our final score. For Doug Glanville and Jessica Mendoza, I'm John Shelby. We'll have more spring training action. That'll be coming up tomorrow night primetime. The Yankees take on the Red Sox. Up next, it's NFL Live. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Yankees beat the Rays. We say so long from Port Charlotte.